Welcome back to Flub Nation. Happy New Year, Flubbers. This is Midnight Grappler Animals, the name of the podcast. It's not actually Flub Nation, if you might be so inclined to believe. I'm one of your hosts, Lan, and with me I have the
Salt
Beast
and Bank.
Oh yeah, I was gonna give you a nice little intro, but
Oh fuck, I flubbed.
No, it's okay. You squandered it. You ain't getting the intro this time. This is actually the first intro that we're doing after the recording of the meat of this this episode. We had on a very very nice guest this time around, starting off the year with a guest episode, and we had on Ramon Villalobos.
Well, I was just going to say we wanted Ramon Villalobos. That would have been like a big get for the show. We know a lot of people who listen to this show would have been excited for Ramon Villalobos, but unfortunately Ramon was not available. So we got we took one of those AI voice creations, right? And we got
the ones that read audiobooks.
Right, and so we got a bot to simulate Ramon, and we got Ramon Villalobos.
Oh yeah, well I wasn't gonna reveal that until after the episode aired, but
I just wanted to be honest with people.
Yeah, we have to be honest. It's a new year. We gotta really show our sleeves. But Happy New Year. I think we already said that in the main recording. But if you're listening to this now, hopefully you've had a chance to listen to our episode 0, our Christmas special, edited by yours truly. The first one I've actually done since we actually started this thing. Yeah, that was quite an experience. That was sort of the reason why we started Midnight Grappler Animals, is because people were asking about when the podcast we were planning to make, the MFers podcast, would actually come out. And, in the end, Midnight Grappler Animals is the one that ended up coming out. And we teased, this existence of a lost episode that may or may not have come out. And if it's finally come out, it's kind of weird closing the door on that in some ways, just because it's not like a long running gag anymore. There's a lot that I learned while editing that episode.
What made you wait on it so much?
It's funny because so we recorded that episode in June, and then I edited it in its entirety on Christmas Eve. I started on December 24th, ended on December 24th. And I think a lot of it was just procrastination, if anything. To be completely honest, I wasn't in the best place for the first half of 2020, and that includes when we recorded this. So in July I had set myself 2 goals. One was to finish editing that, the one we recorded, and then one was finishing a project that I had started for my subbing work, which I still haven't completed, and I probably should get to that sometime soon. And who knows, maybe that'll also only take me a day. But yeah, I'd set myself that goal to finish it before the month ended, but then as life just kept getting in the way, I sort of threw it by the wayside, and every time I opened it up, I kind of didn't know what direction. I don't know why I was doing it. I think that direction wasn't there, which is why in October I came to you and was like, all right, let's just do this again, just off the cuff, us two. And we'll just no editing this time. We'll just do something that we can get out there. And I'm not trying to get mushy this episode, but I think going back to the episode, episode 0, after having done 5 episodes of this show, it kind of just made me realize, that direction that I'd lacked the 2 or 3 times I attempted to edit the episode prior, had now been found, because we made Midnight Grappler Animals like a thing, like a tangible thing. Because here's the thing, I don't listen to any of these episodes. For me, I'm the kind of person where once the thing that I'm making has been released, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to revisit it. I kind of I kind of just, so I have no idea what an average episode of our show sounds like, which made me self-conscious of all the times I went in episode 0. Every time I heard an I'm like, I gotta get the shit out of here. It made me so like retroactively self-conscious of like everything I was saying in all Midnight Grappler Animal episodes and basically how I was talking. But also, just it's interesting looking back at that first attempt. Well, technically a second attempt, but that first attempt at really starting out a podcast. I think the first like half hour is a bit rough, but then we really start finding our groove, like as we're really starting getting into like the Bollywood stuff and all the stuff with War World. And I'm like, okay. So, it takes a while, but we start cooking. We really start cooking. And then I really started thinking about why I'm doing this in the first place. Like why, again, today's recording, especially like really near the end, really got me thinking about that just because of sort of the existential aspect of it. Like this exists because we wanted to do something in the interim while Max Flentallo was on hiatus, and it's sort of just evolved into its own thing now. I don't know, because for me, I even told my friends this like early on into the show, is like this feels like it's your show and I'm kind of just there.
It's so funny, dude.
It feels like it's Salt and Bank presents Midnight Grappler Animals featuring Lan. Like that's how I always saw.
I feel the opposite. That's so funny. I guess that's why it works.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because I don't know if I wouldn't say my heart wasn't in it in those first few episodes, but I think it was just more so like a thing that I was not necessarily coasting, but sort of doing because it was there and I could do it. Like we'd set up like, oh, we're recording this episode, then we're going to be talking about this. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do it. And the drive was sort of like cruise control for me. And editing that episode 0 and just like looking at everything we wanted to be with that first episode really made me think about why I even do this. Because the last thing I expected going into 2022 was, coming out of it. No, I'm still not going to call myself a podcaster, but just being a guy that does a podcast. Now what do I want this podcast to be? Like where do I want to go with this thing? Like what's our big idea for 2023? What do we want to do? Why am I doing this? And discussing that with Ramon really helped for me.
I really loved that conversation we had at
that
the
was
end.
Yeah. I'm kind of pissed that we had to cut it off a bit early because of me, but
no, because your mom.
Because of my mom. Sorry,
it's not your fault, okay? I'm still reeling by you saying this is the Salt and Bank show with Lan, because I was like, oh, I'm like here to help Lan do this show.
Oh, I mean, it's that's the other funny thing is like there were several moments when I was editing episode 0 where I was like, damn, dude, shut up, let the others talk, because there are large swaths of time where it's just like me talking about whatever it is, and then you're just you're adding your little flourishes here and there. And
hey,
I was like,
for what it's worth, that's really natural for us to all feel that way. Like there's times where I'm editing, I'm like, why the fuck am I interrupting Lan there? And it's like, well, there's a couple things going on. There's a natural lag in the internet connection. We can't see the faces, and sometimes there's a lag where it's like maybe you're saying something that's gone on a bit of time, but I'll want you to keep going because I think maybe you'll have something really cool that you're working toward, right? So we'll keep refining it as we go.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've definitely started working towards cleaning things up a lot. Like I know you cleaned up the Alan Moore episode a lot. And for me, when I was editing, I'm like, oh, how much editing should I really be doing? Because Flub Nation and all, but
oh yeah. And then you did say something really interesting I want to come back to is like, have you thought in greater detail about like what you want this to become or what you're trying to say?
When I initially thought about it, and this is sort of the vestiges of capitalism weighing down on my mind is just like, is if this is going to be work, at what point do we monetize it so that there is that sort of incentive? But then
That's not just capital. You need to think practically.
Yeah, okay, practical, sure, whatever. But I think also I reeled away from it very quickly because, I think the second I start looking at this as work per se, I think it's going to change my perception in a way that I'm not sure if I'm exactly, I don't know. Like, I still need to process that element of it, but talking with Ramon especially about what this podcast is in terms of just larger critique in general today definitely changed my perception on why I wanted to do this in the first place. Like when I talked about doing Midnight Grappler Animals with you in October, I was at a point where I was really, I mentioned this a bit, I think, but I talked about like wanting to feel something out of what I was reading, viewing, engaging with. And because at some point, like between 2017 and 2018 or 2019, I was reading a lot of comics. Like every week I'd be reading at least like 5 to 10 comics that were coming out that week. And it really sort of put me in this mindset of treating these things as disposable. Like comes one week, it goes one week. You're pretty much just doing it to get your take out there. Once your takes have been made, you just move on to the next thing. And 2021 definitely broke me out of that stride for sure. There's a bunch of different factors of it. I think a lot of it is also related to my whole exodus from Comics Crit. And looking back now, I'm like, why was I writing the things that I was writing? Not necessarily in a negative sense, just in I guess, an existential sense. But, like, why was I engaging with media the way that I was engaging with it? And what is causing me to reel away from engaging with media in a deeper aspect? So, like going on these deep dives with this media, I think has helped me. I'm not using this podcast to cope, I should say. Like it may sound like I'm not, please don't, this isn't therapy is what I'm saying, but I think it's definitely me trying to
grapple.
Yeah. Grapple with the deeper sort of emotional aspect of engaging with media. And this isn't just about like comics, but also like TV shows and movies. Because I watched a lot of movies last year, according to my Letterboxd, 281 to 86. I don't know. And I was thinking about, half the time I was watching it with someone else, half the time I was watching it by myself. And when I was watching it by myself, like, did I see the media I was watching as more disposable? I watched Amsterdam 2 days ago. Hopefully this isn't like a Joe Rogan tangent. I watched Amsterdam.
I'm curious where it's going.
Okay. I watched Amsterdam with two of my friends 2 days ago. It was by far the worst movie I've seen all year. If I had watched it last year, it would have been the worst movie I saw all year. But being able to go through that experience with other people, and having my friends there to sort of riff and sort of pick apart everything that didn't work with that movie. And then it's not like we hopped off call immediately afterwards. We still stuck around and we talked about what we didn't like about that movie and just all the different aspects, like the fact that Drake is a producer on that movie. Cool. Did you know that?
That's great. Canada's finest.
Yeah, it's a meeting of the predatory minds, I like to say.
Yeah,
Predator
that's
Predator.
icky. I forgot there's two. At least
Yeah.
2.
And then, the opposite thing happened last night. We watched The French Dispatch together, and we were talking, we really got to express all the things we loved about that movie. And, I was thinking afterwards about how I don't really get that when I'm watching things by myself. It's only if other people are also watching that thing and I get to have that conversation. I don't want to be someone who talks at other people, and I think that's the biggest issue. When we do our Comics Crit episode, I don't know when that's going to happen. That's going to be a recurring thing, is just the talking at aspect of Comics Crit. And how much I just come to abhor it. I hate critique that feels like it's talking at me rather than to me.
Yeah, I mean, if I could go a little further on that.
Please go. I'm
because
I'm doing that thing where I'm scared. I'm scared I've been talking too much.
I'm scared to stop talking. I've been there, get you. No, but I think of a show like WandaVision, and that's just an easy example. Don't read too much into it, but it was a semi-recent thing, and the reason I bring it up is like it's streaming, right? And this can apply to non-streaming media as well. But like WandaVision is this like streaming media. You watch it by yourself or like, with your immediate household member. And then you read a tweet or a quick review, and like that's the final word. And like it's you read something really hacky, like it's lynching or whatever. But certain types of media, whether it's good media or bad media, whatever you want to take away from that, it whether it's the media's fault or not is what I'm trying to say. Is we can get locked into this critical state of just like, and that's that, and we're moving on and we're reviewing the next thing. It's like,
yeah,
you create a more interesting atmosphere and contribute to the culture when you say like, look, these questions go on, like there is more to say here. That's not an excuse to just go on entirely, but like, hey, you're part of a larger community, and this part is key. Like, your takeaways are not universal. Someone's gonna look at something and say like, no, like that was dog shit, like,
yeah.
like I really enjoyed the Alex Ross book we covered in this episode in a way, but like there was stuff that I thought was like stupid too. So it was good to hear like differing opinions from you and Ramon being like, oh, I didn't like this. Like, okay, like let's dig into that.
Yeah, it was nice just being like, because I didn't know what exactly everyone's take was going to be going into it, which is really nice. I think it's the best way we should. I think it's really good that we talk very little about the stuff that we're talking about before we actually get into the episode, because it always leaves me with that sort of palpitation. I'm like, oh God, what's Salt going to think about Trials of Ult? Oh, sorry, spoilers for the next episode. Before we even get into it. But yeah, it's so fresh and so engaging to just shoot the shit for however long we shoot the shit whenever we do this, just because it sort of gives me that pause. Like I'm not necessarily like going through Twitter all the time when I'm doing this, or I'm not having other conversations. This is just me sort of existing in this moment. No.
You're doing fine.
Okay, no. I was just gonna say, I'm like, that sounded really pretentious, thinking back on it immediately. But no, these definitely do feels like moments in time where I can, like take a pause and sort of engage with one thing specifically, rather than sort of feed into the endless. Like, there's apparently this whole thing with Joker Mpreg on Twitter right now, which I'm actually very interested in. I want to hear what this is going on about, but apparently it's caused some sort of controversy. I don't care about the controversy. I just want to see Joker be pregnant. And maybe we should do an episode about that. Who knows?
Right, maybe. I was gonna say, like, in terms of being surprised where a show might take you, like, before we did this, I had like some familiarity with some like tokusatsu stuff. Like, I've been into Godzilla for a while now, and I've seen a lot of those movies. But like, safe to say, you are far more like experienced with that, right?
Yeah.
And it was like you kept bringing that up and had so much interest in it, and like where you kept pointing at it and saying indirectly sometimes, but like, look at all the influence this has and how much is here. Like, that's awesome. Like, that got me way more into Toku stuff.
Yeah, like whenever, because we, for the, peeling back the curtain a bit, we have a channel in our Discord server specifically for us too, where we suggest stuff to put in the backlog. And whenever I see you suggesting like something Tokusatsu related, like when you suggested, again, I'm not going to say the thing because I'm not going to spoil it, but I was actually taking him out. I'm like, oh shit, he found out about no, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it, because it's great to see that sort of interest. And not to be like I influenced you on this some sort of way, but like it's good to see that sort of vigor to want to talk about those things, rather than, like I said before, the cruise control aspect of it, where we're kind of just like pulling stuff up because we can pull stuff up.
I mean, like, if I were to break down my modus operandi for like how I do criticism, like, I'm always most interested in who the artists are, right? Like, a piece of art can speak to me on its own, but like, I don't know if I fundamentally misunderstand death of the artist, but like, I can't separate an artist from the art. Like, the art is something from that person's life, right?
Yeah, the art is the artist in like the metaphysical sense, I guess.
Right. And so like, that's been really rich for me to like look at more of the Toku stuff, like a lot of the and we're going to do lots of other stuff besides Toku, but we're doing a lot of Toku, and the Toku is really rich for me. Like, oh, I see how this influenced another artist I really liked. Like, it helps me understand the world better. Like, it's like mass entertainment, but it's something I can sink my teeth into that speaks to other people. And, to bring it back what you said, it brings people together. So that's really cool.
One thing about today's episode, especially, was, like, I consider myself fairly researched when I go into these things. Like, I have, like, things I bring up, but man, like, when we were going at it with Ramon, I felt like I was being outpaced, outclassed. Like, I at least did the very least of reading Fantastic Four number 51, but like all the interviews and stuff, I'm like, damn, that's passion, like it's definitely made me. Ramon truly is the best. It made me really rethink about how I approach not only recording the episode, but like the approach before recording the episode. Like what research I'm doing, what I'm bringing to the table, so I'm not just speaking out of my ass for God knows how long.
Yeah, it's key. I mean, I did not do that level of research for this episode. I'm not going to pretend that I did. But like, part of why I felt so satisfied with our Brought to Light episode was I did so much.
Oh, your research was so good for that one. Your research was so good. For me, especially when I'm writing the show notes, I think that's when I feel the most connected to the show, is because, like I'm pulling all these things that we sort of mentioned. Like again, another pull back the curtain thing is like when we're recording an episode, I have like a Chrome browser open with every time we bring something up, I just open a new tab and open up that thing in that tab, and I just leave it there until I'm ready to do my show notes. And then when I look at my show notes, I just go through each tab. I'm like, oh yeah, that's when we mentioned that thing, and oh, that's when we mentioned that thing. And I sort of build my show notes around this sort of memory of based off of what tabs I have open. And it really reconnects me to the show, even when I'm not, again, touching the show at all after I'm done recording.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I have a question about something you said earlier.
Yes.
You said part of what made doing this earlier in the year difficult was you felt like you weren't doing so hot.
Yes.
Do you feel like you're doing better now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Yeah. I'm in a much better place. I think even if I'm not like completely out of the clear, this has helped me a lot in terms of just processing my just overall state of being, even. And like being able to engage with media, like it got me to the point where I could actually write a newsletter again. I wrote one newsletter in 2022 and I put it out. I'll link it in the show notes.
I read it.
But
It's good.
I and it was about something that I felt impassioned about for a week. And I think that's my other approach nowadays is like, if I feel impassioned about something for a week, I will now talk about it. And yeah, like it definitely, if I hadn't done Midnight earlier in the year. Oh no. No. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, no, I think my everything just stopped working.
You're gonna die. Oh, no. Nobody. No. This is not how this was supposed to go.
Holy shit, my computer just completely decided to just shit itself. Well, where were we?
Since we just came back from that massive flub, I think we could just move on. You were talking a little bit about getting your desire to
my
engage
desire,
with media
my
again.
This year, I think my plans for let's talk about our plans for this year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think for this show, I'm really excited about a lot of the Toku stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of that on the way. That we probably have the most of that in the backlog. But yeah. I'm also excited about some of the like state of the industry, state of the art stuff that you have planned. There's a couple other movies I want to do, and I don't know. I've got a couple like semi-experimental things I'm thinking about, but that's
I got one or
away.
two up my sleeve, but I have to see how things will work out there. We also have more guests planned.
More guests, more crossovers.
Actually, both our episodes in February are going to be guest episodes, I realized.
Sweet.
One other thing is we're probably going to stick to the bi-weekly schedule. I think that was when Ramon was talking about making Mex Flentallo weekly and how that burnt him out. I was thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, he's cooking. Yeah. He's like the main reason I wanted this to be a bi-weekly thing is also first to have a layer of separation between this and the rest of my life, but also just so that we don't run out of steam so quickly.
That was one of the best decisions you made.
That's good to know. But if this, because I think us starting a Patreon or whatever this year is also going to be reliant on how much of a backing we have. And I have no idea. Like, that's one of the other things is all the stats. All the stats about like how many people this is reaching. You told me that plugging the CIA episode after your viral tweet, boosted our viewership by what, tenfold? It tripled, right? I have no idea what that means.
No. It tripled that episode. But it also increased the listenership on some others. I'd say it like doubled the total listens.
That's good. Yeah, like I definitely want to, because again, before when we started this, we were pretty much just recording for like 4 or 5 people that we knew would listen to this. But as we're going on, more and more people are starting to listen to us, which definitely is going to make the jokes a bit weirder in terms of, we can't say we're only recording this for 3 people anymore.
Well, and it's worth discussing only in so much as I would be happier to record more frequently, but like I would need to like monetize this just so it could be like worth
something that's worth
time.
Yeah, we can discuss about how we can do a Patreon thing once we get to the point where we can actually do a Patreon thing. Viewers at home, if you think we should be doing a Patreon thing, let us know. We can do all that stuff that all your other favorite podcasters do, like saying your name.
You can let us know by emailing us at midnightgrappleranimals@gmail.com.
Yes, that's right. The email. It's the second time in a row that I forgot we had an email.
All good. Anything else you wanted to get out there before we go into the episode?
Before we go into the main episode, well, I hope everyone listening will stick around for the rest of the year. We got a lot planned. There's a lot we want to do, and I think this year we're definitely gonna up the acceleration. We're gonna really put on our thinking caps and get into nitty gritty. You know, what other idioms can we use to talk about how much work we're going to be?
I don't have any other idioms. I just want to say that, like, I know we've both really enjoyed Ramon's art, and we've enjoyed the Mex Flentallo with Ramon and Daniel for a while. So Ramon joining on this episode was like a big get, you know, big deal for both of us, and it did not disappoint. I think it's, you know, there's one thing of like, oh, it'll be cool to have Ramon on, but then like when he's on, it's like even cooler than you
especially
imagine.
so soon.
Yeah, just because he had some really thoughtful analysis and got me to think about my shit, think about comics and the art I ingest. So that's
he was
all
really
you
the
go
wake
for,
up
right?
call. He was a wake up call for me.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
I guess without further ado, here's the real episode that we actually came here for.
Applying it to their suits being this cool metallic tone, it's really, it's incredible fun to have this as a resource, and the way that this catches the light, it reflects this cool purple light. Now, of course, in my artwork not being painted, it's going to be traditional comic book coloring that's going to try and capture some of this, but already in the way that I do my black and white art, it has enriched a lot of the way that that these costumes look in photography. So I'm extremely happy with what I'm getting back to look at. It would make great resource for both painted art as well as traditional pen and ink artwork, because the kind of dark shadows that I get are unlike anything I had before with other reference, and this is my way of offering this is what you could do in a movie with their suits, but I got to try it here because this is the only thing I have control over, is what I actually do on my own.
Hello and welcome to Midnight Grappler Animals. On this episode, we have a very special guest. We have the man himself, Ramon Villalobos.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing all right.
Doing all right. Not too much bullshit we passed your way?
Not too much.
Okay, that's good to know.
Chilling.
It's always a big fear with guests.
Yeah, thank you guys for recording this earlier so I could catch the Niner game. You know.
Oh, well, I was just doing it because I had to pick up my mom at 2. But yeah, the Niners good. That's what's important.
And I just want to accommodate everybody because I like hanging.
Hanging out, right?
Yeah, hanging out.
Okay, just making sure.
Dead air.
Yeah.
You can't, come on.
Yeah.
Get going.
I'm just. Well,
Dead
anyways.
air. People are waiting. They're waiting for the content.
See, this feels. You know what this feels like? This feels like one of those high school sabotage moments where, you know, like the bully's like, oh, you know, I bullied you so much. You know, I really think you should do something cool. And then they get to like the talent show, and then the bully just completely sabotages the main character's show.
First of all, I'm not a fucking bully. Never been a bully.
Yeah. Sorry, we're not accusing you of being a bully. We're just making parallels to like
never
Carrie.
Been a bully. Have never
You're
been.
making this parallel. I've never heard of this trope before.
What?
What is that?
It's, oh my god, this is like, okay, maybe you just didn't watch any like Disney Channel original movies in the 2000s. That was like a huge thing where the bully would be like, oh, I'll take pity on you, you know, and then they just completely switch up and continue bullying. But anyways, bullying is not what we're here to do today.
This is an anti-bullying show.
This is staunchly anti-bullying, except when I bully Salt to plug our show whenever one of his tweets goes viral, which actually did work, according to what you said, Salt. Yeah, but today we're here to talk about comics, true comics,
yes.
Art, if you will. One specific piece of art that came out last year is Fantastic Four Full Circle from Marvel and Abrams Publishings. Yeah. Marvel Arts. What is that, line? Like a...
Yeah, well, apparently there was Abrams Arts or some shit like that, and they were handling the art, like the comic stuff for this. But then when Alex Ross inked this deal with them to do this thing, and they wanted to be under a specific like line because there's more stuff coming through it. And I heard him talking. I listened to a podcast with him where he was talking to some guy, some fucking podcaster guy. and he was talking about how there's like a bunch of people that are like doing proposals for these books in this format, or maybe like not specifically like really big or whatever, and they're all like from the 60s. So I'm like, I have to imagine it's going to be like Steve Root or something, like I have to imagine like a very specific kind of old dude that they're gathering for this.
They're probably gonna get like Dan Brereton, probably Chaikin, honestly.
I don't know about that. Like I'm curious to see who they bring along for this, but like, for the Prestige line, I think that he's in some capacity like the head of it. Like he said there's more coming. It felt like a threat, but
well, speaking of which and threats, no, that's not a segue, but we wanted you on this episode because you're an old school pro, and
That's right.
Alex Ross is also an old school pro. So
also,
who better?
From Stockton, California, the 209, just like the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
That's where the Baxter Building is, right?
No, that's in New York. But see, I know you guys don't do a lot of research on this show like I used to do on Mix Flentallo when I did my deep dives. But if you did, you would know that when they crashed back into Earth, the Fantastic Four landed in Stockton, California.
See, I don't read old comics like that. That's fine. I'm not an old school pro like you, but I concede. But no, Salt, you go.
There's something about Ross that's like always been a little unnerving to me. I say this as someone who actually likes a lot of his art, but like the man himself has always been something of a cipher. Do you guys ever get that?
I get that. It's just he's got that look. I mean, not to like I'm not making fun of his appearance or anything, but he just got that look of someone who knows more than he's letting on.
Oh, okay. This is an anti-bald thing now, right? Okay,
oh no.
Okay.
I'm talking about the eyes specifically. You look at his eyes and you're like, what's going on there?
I gotta be honest. I think he knows less. I think he's just like very talented at one specific thing, like hyper talented at it, and so like it almost fools you into thinking that he's a smart guy. But I don't think he's that. I don't think
he's smart. No, I don't think he's smart.
You said he knows more than he lets on.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
you must think that he must look really fucking stupid then.
No.
I mean, is that what you're saying?
I said, I'm not going after people's appearances here, but I mean, it's most of what I know about Ross outside of his work has been like these disputes with DC, I think. And this sort of like adherence to doing stuff the old way. He's like Jeff Johns, but with like a nicer coat of painting, if that makes any sense. Like
that does not make sense. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, just because Jeff Johns doesn't draw.
Well, yeah, Jeff Johns doesn't draw, but he's like super hyper obsessed with like Silver Age stuff, like, and in the same way that Ross, a lot of his work seems geared or like the locus of it is around the Silver Age.
Yeah.
So whenever he tackles like newer characters or newer works, it always seems weird.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about like Ross the man himself because like that's kind of my issue with this book. But yeah, let's get into the book and we can kind of like come back to that stuff along the way.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Opening spread. Thoughts, guys?
What's the opening spread? Like what?
The one on the inside of the cover, or because
this is an audio podcast. I'm assuming you know what you're talking. Like you got to explain it. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, because here's the okay. So I have the book. I have the book with me in my hands right now for the viewers at home.
That's beautiful.
Thanks. It comes with this dust jacket, which has like a fold in it that has this sort of spread that explains the basic gist of who the Fantastic Four are.
Yeah, it's Alex Ross's signature like secret origin spreads.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and he's like doing
it's like a monotone illustration of like a realistic, like what if it was real, which was crazy back in the 90s when he first started doing this for like Superman and, you know, the Flash and Green Lantern, like, 'cause we didn't see that before, you know. But at this point, I feel like all we see of superheroes is like the realistic version of it, you know. So it's a little bit like, what are we doing here, you know? I think it's just, this is an Alex Ross gimmick. This is what he does, so he did it because it's comfortable, you know.
Yeah, this feels the most like the work that we're familiar with Russ, and I feel like it's also the last time we get, you know, like art like that in this book.
Yeah, it's weird. It hasn't like moved at all since like the days of, like you said, Ramon, like when he was doing the Superman book. Like he did that Prestige
like
Superman and Batman book. It's the exact same recap.
Yeah, like this page feels like it would have popped off hard in the 90s, you know?
Oh, there was like a JLA book. Remember those oversized they did a Batman, they did a Superman, but then they did a JLA one, and it was literally nothing but these double page spreads for every Justice League member. It was like Secret Origins.
Oh yeah,
it
was literally just this.
Right.
So like this is just like what he does.
But fear not, dear reader, because when you flip the page from this standard Alex Ross double spread origin, then we get, was this charcoal? He's got Reed Richards, Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, and Susan Storm, and it's just
it's like his pencil. I mean, like, did you guys ever read Rough Justice?
No.
You know
I know what you're talking about. I read Justice. If that's
after he put out Justice, he put out a book called Rough Justice that was basically like a collection of all the sketches and like the ideas that he had done for Justice. So it was like any little concept, and it was all stuff like this. It was all his pencil stuff. And after he did that, ever since that came out, I thought, fuck, man, I want to see this dude pencil and ink something. Because to me, as an old school comics pro, as like a real comics artist working, you know, in the business, I've always thought that real comics were like black and white ink and then with colors on it, you know? And the stuff that he does, it's always felt a little unnatural for me because even though it's printed like, you know, it's like it's in the form of a comic book. The fact that there's not like stark black and white has always been a little like it's not a real comic. It's like a gimmicky kind of thing. So when I saw Rough Justice, I was like, man, if he ever fucking decides to do one of these kind of things, it's going to be so sick. And in some ways it is, because this is finally it. He's done a couple of things before this where it's like pencils only and they color it. But this is the first time where he's really tried to ink. And I say try because again, I've watched some videos about his process in this, and it's not really exactly what you know, it's not exactly real comics shit. It's still a little bit of like he's using a crutch, but we can get into that, you know, a little bit further into it. But yeah, this is like a preliminary version of the Alex Ross art and like closer to what you're going to see in the rest of it. But it's like, you know, just designy bullshit. It's nothing.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the sort of like painterly style, because you know, like when I was doing research for this,
you did that?
pretty much was like, yeah, I know, it's surprising, right? But my research was actually reading the comics. I wasn't doing some fucking Art Deco bullshit, history stuff. And I was reading through like his previous more prestige, and I use that in quotations, prestige work, like with Marvels and Kingdom Come, and like Kingdom Come especially is really, really painterly in a uncanny valley kind of way, where the obsession with making things look realistic takes away from the enjoyment of the craft that's put down there. Whereas here, it feels a lot more rougher. It feels a lot more grounded in a way that his work hasn't felt since ever, based off of what I've read. You know, like I haven't read Rough Justice, but
yeah, I mean that was like it's not a comic. It's like it's like an art book. But he did I can't remember what it was. It was some Justice League thing or like Superman. And he did do that. Like he did like some penciling like this, but not quite this much. And then that even is colored more traditionally.
I'm gonna keep going ahead in the book here. We've got the first page of art is this hooded figure on the streets of New York, and there's a caption that says "knock knock." I don't think there's too much interesting going on here. Then
it's one thing that's interesting is that it sort of does set the tone of like this is going to be like a very minimalist palette. There's not going to be a lot of like the Alex Ross shit that people are used to is not going to do that. He's kind of doing the like mid-century illustration shit that's kind of popular right now. I'm thinking of like, the Greg Smallwood kind of stuff. That's like, it's,
you're right. That's a good point. This page is meant to establish like, hey, this is a departure from what you expect from Ross.
Yeah. It's like a cloaked figure looking up at the Baxter building. And then
I think this page kind of set me up a little bit for disappointment because it's this like weird, almost like spooky looking character. And I was hoping this book might lean more into like a horror angle. And there's a couple of other things that lead me to believe that, and then it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's got small elements of it here and there, but yeah, you're right. This definitely does kind of ruin the whole expectation for the book because it pretty much sets this whole like stranger comes to town, like a menacing presence comes to town sort of vibe, which is immediately undercut the second we turn the page.
Right, because when we turn the page, we see
that's called comedic timing. That's called he's in his storytelling bag. He's cooking right now.
Speaking of cooking, we turn the page to see Ben Grimm assembling a hoagie sandwich, and Ben is real horny for sandwiches on this page. He's got an armful
of... It's a Dagwood.
It's not a hoagie. Specifically not a hoagie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the same thing.
No, a little Easter egg for the fans with it being a Dagwood sandwich.
Sandwich.
Yeah, you gotta see. You make fun of Ben for his sandwich fetishization, but honestly, true sandwich fans would know. It's a Dagwood, not a hoagie.
I mean, I'm not making fun of Ben in that. Like, I think Ben is sort of the heart of this book, and like that's why we're opening on Ben, right? But
yeah.
I want Ben's characterization to go a bit deeper, and like beyond this scene, it's like there's not much going on besides horny for sandwiches.
Yeah, I mean, you do also get what is it, the third panel there where he kicks the door to the fridge in a very non-dynamic way.
He's not supposed to be dynamic. Why would he have to?
Yeah, he's a rock man.
Why would he hold on to because you're right. It's not dynamic, but why should it be? That's actually like.
I mean, I don't know, because the fridge, like the only indication of action you get from the fridge is the little smudge lines, and the foot's fine. Like the foot's fine there. But I feel like there should be more coming from the fridge. And again, this is a larger issue I have with the dynamism in this book is that, like the characters are drawn as they should be in terms of their actions, but they're, I don't know, the things that they're hitting, the things that they're affecting don't seem to reciprocate in a way.
Okay.
But yes,
Salt, do you have any opinions on that? Do you?
There is something that comes up later for me with that. I kind of see where Lan's going. I mean, I do see that in terms of the broader, older criticism I've seen of Ross's work. I've seen people criticize his figures for looking too stiff. Mm-hmm. And I see that with the older works, but I think he's grown from that. Like I do see more fluidity in a lot of the poses throughout this book.
Yeah, I don't think it's that stiff because I think he is doing less photo referencing in this book.
You do see a bit more of it later on.
The stiffest thing in this is the dialogue, if you ask me.
Hey, this dialogue sucks. it's like
the dialogue throughout. That's why I said I didn't want to talk much about the writing in this book because
why though? I don't like, but that's what. Hold on a second, because so I watched the cartoonist kayfabe for this in preparation because I really wanted to get a full spectrum of like idiot opinions on this book before I came on here. Not because that's what I think of you guys. That don't get me
Right,
wrong.
Never would have thought that.
No. But I wanted to know, what are people thinking about this? What are people feeling about this? So I watched the cartoonist kayfabe, and I mean, first of all, it's just like a slurp fest for Alex Ross. I think because they got the book from the publisher. I think they were they were spared spending $25 to review it. I think they probably got like a little note from the Abrams or whatever and said, "Hey, give us a positive review. Help a brother out. Maybe we love what you do with the graphic design. Maybe this is sort of like that. In fact, they refer to it as like, this is Alex Ross's graphic design. That's my cartoonist kayfabe impression. But when they talk about it, and that's my biggest problem with their show, and that's what was different between my show, was that they don't talk about what's actually happening. And for a book like this, which we can get into the plot a little bit, and as it goes on, but this is basically a sequel to Fantastic Four 51, which was the classic "this man, this monster" story, right? So because I wanted to be really sort of knowledgeable about it, that's kind of what I do, I read that one too. And if I'm reading that one to you guys, or like if we're looking at that one, there is like a clear story, which everything in that book, like the science fiction mumbo jumbo bullshit, it all hangs off very distinct ideas that they're trying to get across through the actual story of the comic. It doesn't have to be complicated, because that one is basically, the Thing is depressed because he thinks he got cucked by Silver Surfer. Like at the end of the Galactus saga, he's on the rooftop and Alicia Masters is like fucking, he thinks she's getting horny over the Silver Surfer. He's got insecurities. He feels bad, man. So he leaves. And he doesn't know that Alicia Masters wasn't even feeling him like that. You know what I mean? So he leaves, and as he's walking away, he sees this bald motherfucker who has like a very distinct brow. Not as distinct as Alex Ross is going to draw it in here, but semi-distinct, Without breaking out the calipers, he says he's got a similar skull shape.
Yeah, not quite Cro-Magnon.
No, not quite that. But so he sees the Thing, and he goes like, I've been hating on the Fantastic Four longer than anybody, so I want to show that I'm smarter than Reed Richards, who's a bitch, by killing all 4 of these people.
Honestly, baller move, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the most baller thing you could do. So he's like, I want to kill all 4 of them. I'm going to show that I'm the smartest motherfucker in the world. So he gets out this, he gives the Thing a roofie. He makes him, he puts his ass to sleep on his couch, and then he uses like this insane machine that he has like in his closet to steal the Thing's like rock powers. And then he goes to the Baxter building the next morning, pretending to be the Thing, or 3 days later, he pretends to be the Thing. Reed Richards and Sue Storm are like, well, he must be the Thing. He looks like the fucking Thing. And then Ben Grimm shows up and he's like, no, I'm the Thing. And they're like, that's fucking crazy. This is the Thing. Look at him. He's a big orange freak. You're a normal guy. Even though they knew him before he was the Thing, they're like, you can't be the Thing. Get the fuck out of here. So he leaves angrily, upset, saying like, fuck my friends. Fuck Alicia Masters, this blind bitch, fuck everybody, fuck the world, I didn't want to be the Thing, but now suddenly I don't have that part of me. Who am I? What is this? What is the fucking point of being alive? He's having an existential crisis. Meanwhile, Reed Richards is like, okay, let's go into the negative zone because I gotta like save the world from like another Galactus or somebody coming through. So he goes to the negative zone or dimension or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. That's the thing, is like, it does not matter. There's no need to be referential towards that. It is pointless. What matters is he gets in a dangerous spot.
Very small thing. Like in the context of that issue, it's a very small thing.
Right. He's in a dangerous spot, and then the motherfucker, the new Thing, the guy who's pretending to be the Thing, who doesn't even have a name. We end up learning in this it's fucking Ricardo Jones apparently, but in the original, they don't even name him. I don't think.
No,
I just
they
read
don't.
it. So he goes in there and then he's like, fuck, man, like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. Like, Reed Richards goes in, he's like tethered by this like rope or whatever the fuck. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. But the point is, when the guy goes in there, he realizes, damn, like, I've been a fucking asshole. This guy, Reed Richards, is like doing all this shit just because he wants to save people. And at the end of the day, he's going to die. And he tells me that I got to save myself because he cares more about his family and his friends and people than he does himself. And I've been selfish. I've been a dickhead. I'm going to save him, make one final sacrifice to try to make amends for a lifetime of being a fucking hater. And then Reed Richards survives. That guy dies, we think. And then that's the end of the story. It's like, damn, don't be a fucking hater. And then the Thing, who's like, well, you know what? As long as I'm a normal human person, I'm going to go fucking, bang out this blind chick. He goes, and right when he's going to knock on his door, his hand turns back into a big rocky like monster. So he's like, fuck, I'm a freak again. She's not going to want to see me. He bails. And Alicia Masters is like, what happened? Because she's blind. She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And not to be, ableist towards blind people.
I mean, it's just what happens when.
That's just what happens.
Yeah.
Don't, she can't see anything. She can't even hear his loud ass footsteps for some reason. Good, acoustics in the building. But anyways,
what? She lives in Manhattan. It could be anything.
Could be
Yeah.
Could be a fucking garbage truck making the music of the city.
Yeah.
But anyways, the point is, it's a very simple story. Like, believe in yourself and don't be a hater. The story of this comic is who fucking knows.
It's a series of events. That's what it is.
It's a series of events,
that's what I mean. It's like the writing here is nothing really to write home about because it just feels like a string of events that Ross uses to like play with different toys,
right.
Work with different styles, get from point A to point B.
The thing about his collaborations with Busiek, Astro City's Kurt Busiek, Mr. Kurt Busiek Resists, and Mark Waid.
Hashtag Resistors rise up.
And Mark Waid is that it's the same thing as like Batman Hush. It's, I need to give this artist an opportunity to draw every cool, iconic thing. That way the fans get what they want, which is these big artists drawing the cool, iconic things. Now, you'd think, oh, that's easy. That's easy work. Anybody can do that. Well, apparently not, because Alex Ross really fumbles like in the process of putting together like this story where he gets to draw, for some reason, a nihilist, useless motherfucker. The guy from The Man, the Monster, Ricardo Jones, completely unnecessary.
There's that nightmare sequence.
Nightmare.
Janus,
whatever the fuck. And then he clearly wanted to just draw like his own version of like a New Gods kind of city.
Yeah.
And I mean, he wants to draw the fucking photo collage scene. He wants to draw iconic Fantastic Four shit without having to do like also Doctor Doom and Namor and all the other like stuff that he would have done in Marvels, But this is like, I give him credit because I think that he's outside of his comfort zone in a lot of ways on this book, obviously, right? But the thing is, when you listen to him talk about this book, the thing that excites him about working on it is not telling a story about the Fantastic Four. Like, I've listened to a decent amount of interviews. He put some on his YouTube channel, and he did like a podcast and whatever. And the thing that really, really excited him was that when he first started doing the Marvels stuff, and he got to draw the Fantastic Four, one of his favorite superhero groups, he always, as a child, imagined Reed Richards as the professor from Gilligan's Island. I'm not kidding. Like, he said that. He fan cast him as like a small boy. He saw the professor makes things on Gilligan's Island and Reed Richards makes things. What if he was that guy? So he's been painting him that way for decades. since he's been doing the Marvel shit. Anytime Marvel would ask him to draw Fantastic Four, he would paint the motherfucker from Gilligan's Island. And then
I gotta look this up now. Professor from Gilligan's Island?
yeah, and then at some point he realized it cracked in his mind. Oh my God, that guy doesn't look anything like the Jack Kirby drawing. So he found this new guy, a new guy from the 60s named Gary. I should have hold on. It's Gary Conway.
Not the
And
writer, right?
no. It's if you look up, it's an actor named Gary Conway, and he was in.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, it was just like Jack Kirby was like, I think
damn.
he's a jacked motherfucker. He was in Playboy in the 70s or Playgirl in the 70s, and he was in like a bunch of like gay muscle mags in like the 50s and 60s. He's like a jacked dude, but he's got kind of the Kirby nose, Kirby cheekbones. So Alex Ross was like, this is Mr. Fantastic. So at some point he had to like switch up and say like, okay, what I'm really excited about now is that I get to draw this guy as Mr. Fantastic because he looks like a Jack Kirby drawing. And that's really like, it seems like a big motivating force in him making this thing, which is a little psychotic. Like it's a little like, I like if you're like, oh, Ramon, like who do you think would be a good Wolverine? It's like, I don't really know. I don't really care. But if I were to say like, some random ass actor from the night, if I were to say, oh, Eric Roberts, I like Eric Roberts.
That would actually be great casting.
Yeah, that would be though.
That would be kind of fire. I just came up with that because then imagine X-23 is Emma Roberts. That shit will be hard. But regardless, if I made it a fucking blatant every time I drew this motherfucker, I would just use photo referencing an actor, and then at some point I realized, oh, but you know what? He doesn't look like a Jim Lee drawing. I got to get a new guy. Like that's insane.
Right. That really says a lot about his psychology, that like everything kind of needs to hinge on like a sort of like a forced center. You know what I mean? Like he everything needs to orbit around something, often from his childhood, and all the construct needs to flow out from there. But it's something arbitrary. It's not God at the center. It's not love at the center. It's some fucking
like weird dudes. Yeah, it's just weird dudes from the 60s.
He's a dude. Well, the craziest part about that to me is he's not even like that old that he should be doing this. No, he's from the 70s. He's like, he was in one of the interviews, he was talking about that because he was like, I started reading comics in like 1970. That was like the last year that Jack Kirby even worked on the Fantastic Four. But he's like, but they were reprinting that. So I really grew up with it the same way they did in the 60s. And it's like, bro, you are not that guy.
He's literally 52 years old.
You didn't grow up with that.
Portland. That explains so much.
It's just in his mind, he wants to be a fucking like boomer more than anybody that's ever existed.
So go ahead.
But he's a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. But, sorry, go ahead.
There's a sort of like elephant in the room of this book to me that like I don't see in too many other superhero books, and it's this like really weird repressed sexuality in this book.
In every Alex Ross thing.
No, every Alex Ross thing.
In
like
every
when he draws
Alex Ross
himself,
thing,
when he himself uses himself as a model for female characters.
I feel like every superhero woman he's ever drawn is just his mom in some way. So
that's
like,
it's
either him or his mom. Yeah.
So like in some ways it would be really fucked up if they were hot, No,
but
like
that's what's weird is like everyone is hot in this book. Like Sue is hot, Reed is hot, Ben is arguably hot in his own way.
Ben is definitely very like the way he draws the rocks on Ben's skin. There's a weird sculptor feel, like almost like a fetishistic sculpture.
But when you're talking about fetishes and you're talking about like Alex Ross's mom, like I'm skipping ahead a bit.
I don't want to talk about Alex Ross's mom. First of all, all respect to Alex Ross's mother. I don't know her. I don't know what she's about, and I don't want Alex Ross. First of all, Alex Ross blocked me on Twitter. So
that's tough.
Yeah, so I'm
That's
already
tough.
upset about it, and I don't want him out
doubly
here
tough
thinking.
because he follows a bunch of comics critics, and yet he blocks you.
Well,
true comics
like that
artist.
account follows everybody. That's the thing. Yeah, that
Yeah.
account was following me. I said one negative thing, and then he blocks me.
That's
I forgot what I even said, but I'm sure I said something mean. But that's not. Yeah, like, come on, get over yourself.
Well, I didn't want to talk about his literal mom, but I mean, like, the idea of his mom in this
Right,
book.
right, right.
I'm looking at this panel. I'm skipping ahead a bit. It's like after the
like there's 64 pages on it. Feel free
Yeah.
to skip ahead. We don't need to go through every page, every panel. I feel like you guys were on that wave, and I'm like, let me break that because that ain't gonna work for any of us.
No, it's not. No, it's cool. So these demons like crawl out of the thing poser's mouth, Ricardo Jones, and then
my guy
they
Ricardo.
Also, can we acknowledge the fact that it's just Rick Jones, but with a slightly more?
But he's
I didn't
space Latinx.
I didn't give that.
Space Latinx for Rick Jones.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't know anything about Marvel comics, like generally. So like, I've read a small amount of old Fantastic Four. I did my duty as a comic book reader, but I don't care about that shit at all. Like, I was reading this with Tamara, my colorist, who had thoughts about these colors, by the way, and she knows about all that stuff. So I was asking her, but I didn't know anything about anything.
But the thing I was gonna say about Ross and like sexuality, with like parents and all that, is like after they like kill these demons that crawl out of the fake thing's mouth, which is like probably one of the more exciting kinetic moments in this.
Okay.
There's this moment of Sue Storm and Reed Richards. They're sucking face. And my eye is drawn to Johnny Storm behind them on the edge of the thing. And he is pining.
He's like, damn, why can't it be me? But like, who do you think he wants to fucking kiss, though?
That's what's up. That's the question, right?
And I mean, the thing about the Fantastic Four is it's always been really like a poly situation with all four of them wanting to fuck each other. Well, Sue also wants to fuck Namor,
and then Ben is sort of like the incel of the group.
Ben has real incel qualities, except for the fact that he dates that blind lady. But
she's not in this,
Well, she's not in this, right?
She's mentioned, but she's not in this. It's really weird. I mean, they're very archetypical in a way. The nuclear family, and this comes at like a place where Franklin and Valeria Richards are existent. Like Reed and Sue are parents. On top of the whole, family between the Fantastic Four themselves. So Ross does seem to like to play into a familial aspect, but like as we mentioned, what exactly is a familial aspect for Alex Ross?
Getting into the fetishy stuff about this, because I do think that there is that element of it, and it's sort of like he took characters that were Hispanics. Like, okay, but what if they were in like shiny skin tight suits? And like the way he renders all that is so much more like hyper focused than it ever. Like in the earlier shots, you see like Sue, and it's like, yeah, she got big tits. She got fat ass, whatever. But it's
like Kirby style.
It's that Kirby style. And then, but then as it go, when they put on their shiny suits, it becomes like real like bondagey, like they're like stretching the gloves over their fingers, and like
very Baywatch
Sue is
too.
Like,
like when Reed's putting on his suit, too, like the stretchiness of, especially around the crotch area,
it's all stretchy, it's all like, and the things like junk is constantly like lit 4 ways. It's insane, this comic, the way how much times you see the thing's dick with like different lighting on it. It's nuts.
Yeah, there's like, so go ahead.
Oh, so the thing about that suit, though, these suits is another thing that really motivated Alex Ross when he made this, was he has these little action figures. They're like, these little articulated figures that he poses all these characters with. And he personally himself got a special like duo shade pearlescent spandex fabric, made these suits that they put on later on in the comic, where they have to go back into the negative zone. And so like when he takes pictures of them, he can have like the right lighting reference. But like, but why though? You know what I mean? Like I get it. I understand the idea behind it, but like it's just it all feels so like he's doing like a penance. Like he's like he's like if you walked into this person's room, you'd be like, what is wrong with this man, this adult? But like, you know, he's an artist, so he gets some leeway on it. But like the vibes are crazy when you see his studio, and he's just got these little figurines, tons of head sculpts of all the different characters in the book. Like there's a few Reeds, Sue, Johnny. He sculpted them to make sure. He's obsessed with Reed Richards. That, by the way, that was his main thing. Was he loves Reed Richards and he loves The Thing. And he was talking about another thing, The Thing, where he made a toy for him where in like in the 90s, a friend of his gave him a little sculpted thing head that he has kept ever since then. He loved it. He's like, this is my favorite 3D representation of The Thing I've ever seen. I've kept it with me. Every time I've drawn The Thing, I've had this little model for reference because I just love it so much. So he wanted to duplicate it so that he could put it on an action figure. Like, you know, so he had to duplicate it, make it small, add like epoxy putty on it, re-sculpt it out to have like the exact texture. Because then he took a Hulk action figure, covered it in the same epoxy, made the same rock texture for it. It's the rock texture you see in this book.
That he
spent hours to do
that
each
stresses
head.
me out, man. Like that stresses me out that someone needs to be that fixated on that accuracy, you know?
So it's like method acting, but for art, you know?
So he did the Thing head. He like he re-sculpted this one that his friend gave him, like line for line, bar for bar, you know? He remade it, repainted it, shrunk it down just a little bit, and then he put it on the action figure, and he looked at it and he's like, head's too big. Remade it again, did the same thing again. So that he could have the exact right head sculpt, so that when he drew this comic, he had a little Thing action figure that matched his Reed Richards, his Sue Storm action figures in their shiny spandex, and then he gave that motherfucker the same shiny shorts fabric that he did, you know, because he's like he's obsessive about it.
Yeah.
And it was exciting to watch the mania of it all on his YouTube channel. He was talking about just all the little robots that he drew and how they're from like whatever issues. The thing about him is he is so focused on the most trivial bullshit that doesn't matter. It's like classic, you know, you can't see the forest through the trees. Like every little detail to him is important, but the story means nothing, you know?
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of that quote from Grant Morrison about how you can use the Batmobile as sort of a microcosm of what you're doing with the macrocosm of this greater Batman universe. And you could be a real dumbass about that and not do much with it. But to Grant's credit, I think Grant did see like how they could introduce like more space age ideas with the Batmobile, you know, do some of these older ideas. So you can use this part of a character, say the Batmobile or a costume or whatever, to like be a symbol of your ideas. But Ross handles that like so in the most ham-fisted way. It's like when I was reading this book, I just kept thinking, they kept saying new suits. I'm like, what's new? What's different about the suit? And I realized, it's just shiny.
Yeah, shiny.
But that's it. That's all that's new about the suit.
Well, he said that if you knew the pilot episode of Lost in Space, they had silver suits, and that was a big inspiration for this.
I don't give a fuck about Lost in Space is the problem.
Okay, well, you weren't there. I know he wasn't either, but
he
weren't.
wasn't either. None of us were there.
Maybe you had to be there.
Yeah, but that's
he was also
like stuff that has passed you by that was like before your era, and it's like just lost on a lot of readers. I'm sure. Like, what's the significance here?
So on the colors, I talked about Tamara had some big opinions on it. She's not a fan. That's needless to say. I'm not a fan either. Although some parts of it they intrigue me. The thing that really gets me though is like he can't help but make that fucking thing orange. Like everything else will be like weird colors, but he's like the hyper obsession about things. It's like he doesn't quite understand what looks good in this style that he's doing, but you know, there's something admirable about it. Like there's some interesting energy, and he talked about how like in the 70s Marvel reprinted all these different versions of the Fantastic Four comics, and they had like insane colors where like the Thing would be green, and like, you know,
Are you talking about the blacklight versions?
they're kind of like blacklight versions. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the deal with them was, but they look insane. And so he was like
a
really,
misprinting.
Because I was gonna say later on, like in that nightmare sequence, it looks like something out of those blacklight posters they do in the 70s.
yeah. I mean, there's so many parts in this book where I'm like, man, it's almost fucking really fucking sick.
It's
And
not
then
even top.
then he'll do something where I just like, I don't get it. You know what I mean?
I mean, there is like this one panel when that nightmare scene, like when these demons show up, like he is drawing everyone mostly in pinks, like the Thing included. But like it's funny, the Thing is mostly pink, Sue is mostly pink, but even the Thing has this like bright orange shock on the side. Like he couldn't quite let go of the orange.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
still
Like
so fixated.
that's a cool ass page, and like I love the color of like Johnny, that like pink magenta. Like it's so close to being like right. And then you said like he adds that orange that is not on any other surface because the Thing is orange, and it's like, dude, just get over it.
Make him pink. You want to make him pink, right?
Yeah, it's like he's so obsessed with this pop art style that he'll do everything except make the Thing not orange.
It's weird.
It's weird. Yeah.
Oh, while we're on this page or this sequence, did anyone else get like a Malcolm McDowell vibe from Janus?
So Tamara said somebody that looks so accurate, which is like a villain from like Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. I don't know the character's name, but it looks like that motherfucker. It looks a little like that guy. Looks a little like, you know, Tim Curry, you know.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of Tim Curry vibes, like pre-Rocky Horror Picture Show even.
Yeah, have you ever seen Fire and Ice?
Yeah.
Yes.
That
The
like
Bakshi
weird
movie.
Yeah. That weird like villain in it, like, you know, is gay coded.
Yeah.
That's this motherfucker.
see
Like
that.
that's what it reads to me. But, you know, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. If we're just following the basic plot of the book, he eats the sandwich, you know, it doesn't work out for him. This big monster guy comes into their house. They have to beat the shit out of him. He starts like vomiting monsters all over everybody.
Which I will say that pretty good sequence, I will say. I like the way there it just like kind of explodes, you know?
What I don't like about it is the monsters are like these weird black face huggers, like from Alien, which pissed me off because then later they're like, what are we in some kind of Ridley Scott movie? I'm like, okay, you can't reference the fucking movie that you're lifting from for like a generic monster. Like, what are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. That's like if later on they're like, what are we in some kind of Jack Kirby comic? Like, yes, that's what you just lifted from.
What are we
also
kind of Suicide Squad?
This isn't the fucking 60s, the Ridley Scott thing. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, the anachronisms are really like all over the place here.
I just don't get it. Like, why have the anachronisms? There's other references for all this stuff. And also what got me was the Thing goes like, oh, it's like we're in an old creature feature. I'm like, wait a minute. You just mean a feature because that's they're not old at that point. They're recent. They're playing in the drive-thrus right now in this story. I get though that it might be like the 70s or 80s because they have the little kid, but it can't be that much old later than the 60s.
I mean, even in the 80s, old creature features means like 30s and 40s, right? It can't mean 60s.
Can. Yeah, I think it can.
I mean, this page is still so much stuck in the 60s, even in like a symbolic sense. Like, you know, you have these terrifying demons that you could actually make terrifying, but instead, like they're annoying. They're kind of like bugs. Like they could have picked someone's skin off. Like
It looks like this man just hanging out in like a spirit store, like a spirit Halloween store, like wall display. Like they got all the masks and he's just in there in the center being a goof.
Right. Like even the creatures crawling out of his mouth, Ross, is clearly repulsed by it, but not enough. Like, one thing I like about your art, man, is like there is such a curiosity for the world. Like you're interested in what's gross, what's beautiful, what's depraved, and a lot of time you're exploring that to its natural conclusion. But like what's antithetical to that here is like when the centipede's crawling out of the guy's mouth, he can't like draw how gross that would be, like sliding around the teeth and the soft tissue. Instead, there's just like white light everywhere, like it's censored.
Yeah. Well, so that gets to what you're saying about me. I don't want to make this about myself. It's not about me. It's about the fans. But but when I grew up reading, that's the thing is I did not grow up reading comics, right? I didn't grow up with any kind of like with any kind of love for this stuff that would make me feel like it's sacrosanct. You know what I mean? So when I started making comics, I was really conscious to try to play in the rules because I'm like a guest in this house, right? And then I realized that all the people that made cool shit didn't treat it that way. Jack Kirby did not treat it that way. Jack Kirby, in every panel, the costume would look different because it had to fit the vibe of that panel, what he was feeling in that moment. There's like an urgency and immediacy to the way he was drawing shit. And when he was making all this cool shit, it wasn't like with the intent of like, well, I need to make it so that some day, years down the line, somebody has a blueprint for how that thing looks. It's organic, it's flowing, and it's inspired by what made him excited as an artist, right? So I try to have that mentality when I'm drawing stuff. Like I don't really care if things are the same from panel to panel. As long as it looks cool, people don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And the things that I want to insert into it is not like the way Alex Ross is like deeply sort of indebted to this very specific small window of his life where his mom would bring him like bologna sandwiches after school and like let him like ride on her leg when she would like bounce him up and down or whatever.
Which she was wearing really like shiny fabric, right?
Yeah. Really
I don't want to get really crumb it like, into this, but like I feel like there's something going on there. Like he's drinking a big glass of milk and staring at her tits or something. Like I don't want to get into it. You know what I mean? But there's clearly something psychologically fucked up with this man. But with peace and love, obviously. But I don't have those. I don't have those hangups, so I don't treat it like I need to respect 5-year-old Ramon. Fuck 5-year-old Ramon. He didn't know shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why Alex Ross feels like like by drawing Kyle Rayner, it's like him stabbing himself in the testicles. Like
his obsession with hating legacy characters.
Yeah,
is. Like it's the same, like that's why I brought up the Jeff Johns comparison is like I feel like those two are made for a collaboration together, like Jeff Johns and his obsession with like recreating Silver Age comics that again were made before he was even born, and Ross doing the same thing. It feels like the perfect like.
I've always felt like Jeff Johns is a guy who's like obsessed with making the pieces fit because. Like he has these years and years of like continuity and like in his head he has to make it right. Alex Ross isn't like that. Alex Ross is I know what's right and it was 1964 or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? It's not placed in like making everything work and make sense. Like you say that about Jeff Johns, like, oh, he wants to have Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern. No, he wanted to have all of them as the Green Lantern, and he had to try to find a way to make all of that work all at once. Alex
Well,
Ross doesn't. He wants one Green Lantern.
Well, and like I
Yeah.
think I think it's useful you like brought him up because there's a compare and contrast here, right? And like the other thing you can say for Johns is like I might not care for his world building, but he does do world building, right? Like
Oh,
he
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
just
yeah.
want
Not on
all
his
the Green
own.
Lantern.
No, he obviously.
No, not on his own, but like he was like he was one of the architects for like having like multiple lantern colors, right? Now, granted, he like needed to team up with the white supremacists to do that, but like he still did
Well,
that. Like,
I mean, it's,
I don't want to get too much
know,
into Jeff Johns. That's a whole other
Yeah,
fucking
that's-
conversation. I feel
I
like
just mean
what I
that Ross
said.
doesn't
What
wanna
I
add
said a
new
few seconds
things.
ago. That's right.
Ross definitely wants to encapsulate things into like one specific era. Like it God, what is it? Fuck it, I don't know the comparison here, but it feels like he just wants to crystallize comics, like put it in amber, and that's like the only comics he wants to read. Like every single comic he wants to make is just something that like came out in the year 1964 and nothing else.
yeah, it's like the Bible.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you ever watch Mad Men?
Yeah.
You remember when Betty Draper finds Glenn reading Doom Patrol comics in the doghouse?
Yes.
That's Alex Ross. Well, that's what he wishes he was there, dog. Like that's
yeah.
he sees that, he goes, "Damn, God, I see what you've done for others. Why can't you do this for me?"
He sees Don Draper and he's like, "Damn, he just like me for real."
No, he sees Glenn.
Glenn, yeah, he sees Glenn. He's
Not
like,
Don Draper, bro. Come on.
Yeah, sorry. Is Don Draper supposed to be his dad? Like we talk about his mom, but like, where does his dad factor into all this?
Well, his dad is the preacher from Kingdom Come.
This is true. All right, I'm gonna keep this
literally-
going. They fight off these demons. We got the creepy kissing scene with Johnny Storm pining for Sue and Reed, and then Reed does a little info dump on their last clash with the Nihilists.
Yes.
I do like this page on the bottom right where after he says we'll go into the heart of the negative zone. I do see him like kind of breaking out of this like color, this limited palette he's doing. I think breaking out of the limited palette and then doing a broader palette is more interesting there.
What are you talking about? Where does he say we'll go into the heart of the niggas?
It's right after the page with Reed and Sue kissing. Next page, Reed says, "It doesn't matter."
My bad.
This is Reed says, "All right, it's decided. We're going to the place you all could have expected. We're going to the heart of the negative zone." I was just saying Ross breaks out of the limited palette a little, but then like he does this thing that pisses me off in this book where he does these like recaps of like the Fantastic 451, and like I did not read Fantastic 451, and like I didn't read it because I wanted. No, because I wanted to know, like, what was this book like on its own? Because I figured there'd be people reading this who hadn't read 51. And it's,
that's an interesting thing to mention is like if they are, putting this as like a standalone prestige thing, right? It feels weird to expect new readers, especially, to have read Fantastic 451 prior.
Well, it's like if you watched Wrath of Khan, did you have to watch The Space Seed?
I mean, you didn't have to, but
you didn't have to.
Like,
I don't think you have to on this. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, you also just realize. Well, I don't know. It's not really a good comparison because like Wrath of Khan was good, whereas with this, like you go back to Fantastic 451, and you're like,
how dare you?
You go to Fantastic 451, you're just like, damn, why didn't I just read this instead?
I mean, that dialogue is stilted in a similar fashion, but it's just a better made comic, I think.
Right. I mean, it also makes sense because that comic was made in 1960, whatever, and this was
also much shorter.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go into the negative zone.
They go into the negative zone.
That's when Alex Ross goes, "I'm a cook."
The first thing I saw in the negative zone was these testicles on the bottom right.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad we all
they
saw
put out
that.
the preview for this book. Everyone saw those testicles, and they're like, okay.
The veins are like I have to commend his commitment to So like really doing all those veins. I don't even think it's a testicle. I'm pretty sure it's like the tip of a cock.
Well, it's like Alex Ross is such a freak that it's just like him drawing a dick is going to be a fucking adventure in and of itself. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, like this is his, like when Jack Kirby did this thing in, you know, the 50s book. So did both of you read 51 or one of you didn't? I forget.
I've read 51, but
okay. Well, how did you read it? What was the format?
Like digital?
Like on a app or something?
Yeah, like on my tablet.
Okay. So I read it in Marvel Essentials, like the black and white, and you know, it looks cool. But what I did not know was that there was another version for the Fantastic Four Grand Design by Tom Scioli.
Oh yes,
they recolored it. I think Ed Piskor recolored it.
Yeah, they do that at the end of each one, right? Like,
I don't know. I've never read a single one.
I think it's the collected edition where they have like the Grand Design, whatever, and then they have like a classic issue recolored in their style. Like for Piskor's stuff, it was X-Men #1, I think, and then X-Men or Giant Size X-Men that were both recolored for his books
by him.
Yeah, by him, just to make it like seem.
Okay, that's hip hop. That's hip hop. He invented the remix.
Yeah, he invented the remix for that.
Hashtag rap music.
Shout out to all the.
My point was just like I feel like all these people get so caught up on this thing, like this scene, this kind of like when Jack Kirby experimented the one time when a comic artist was allowed to experiment with something and they can't let it go. They didn't, he could have done so many different ways to capture the same idea, but instead he like faithfully recreated a realistic version of a photo collage that Jack Kirby probably tossed together in like, I don't know, a couple hours, maybe tops, you know, hit up a Xerox machine, made it work. It's crazy to me. It's just insane.
What's really crazy about recreating that too is like, I know a little bit about Jack Kirby's collage process, and he was like begging his fans to snail mail him different types of magazines. He's like, I mostly have home and garden magazines, so I'd like to get some different shapes I can cut out of the magazines, right? So like Kirby wasn't doing this out of like his sense of wanting to like incorporate as much different stuff as possible. He just had the shit he had.
Right. Yeah. It's just like the way the approach to this, it's obviously extremely well done.
Yeah. It's a cool page. I like what Ross is doing here.
Holy shit. Yeah. And I love that he gave us so many crotch shots in one page. Aside from the giant dick, he gave us a shot of Sue's vagina, Reed Richards' taint, the Thing's taint. You know, it's pretty cool. It's exciting that's motivating, you know?
I mean, if you kind of squint at it, it kind of looks like Johnny Storm, his like fire tail.
Oh yeah, I see.
It's kind of like the dick coming across the page. You know, there's a little bit of that ecstasy.
There's that one little puff of flame around his crotch that makes it look like he has a really big bulge. But
all right, so these guys arrive in the negative zone. They're all just kvetching at each other. There's a lot of kvetching. And then
I like when they goes, that looks like, is that supposed to be Dracula's roadster? It's like, bro, that is a spaceship, just like the thousands of spaceships you have inside of your house.
And then we get this weird dialogue from Reed where he says, Sue, turn us all invisible now, please.
Please.
Everything is so stilted and weird in this fucking thing. It's so insane that they let him just write it. I mean, like, it's cool that he did write it. You know?
Yeah, I feel like he should have had like a co-writer at least, you know, like bring Busiek on. Yeah, Busiek, I'm sure
have a niece or something, took a screenwriting class.
And then we turn the page and...
You know how sick that would be if he had like a Zoomer niece that was like, no, have like the thing say, whoa, that's Liddy.
Johnny says Pog. Pog in the spaceship.
That shit would be so hard if they did that. But
we
no.
flip the page and we get this badass Annihilus spread. I don't know.
I
Maybe
had a
you
hard
weren't into it.
time
I really liked
seeing
it.
I
Though.
thought
Yeah,
it, like
everything
I think
with
it's
Annihilus was.
once you see what it is, it's fire. But at first, it's like one of those things where you have to like stare at it, and maybe you see the image if you stare at it long enough. You know.
But my thing is, I would rather see Ross make a weird mistake like that. I'd rather get a lot more of that than like him just resorting to his old tricks. That's why it works for me.
This is cool. I mean, like, I think it looks cool. I think what he's trying to do is like those old Kirby pictures of like God and like
or like the big machines and
his
engines.
big inking things. Like those were like the when he was using his dyes and shit. It was very cool. Shout out to Alex Ross. He got one off. I like that it's just Annihilus eating those bugs that were like that guy was vomiting. It's like a weird thing. I do love that really the only monster he knows how to draw is the face hugger from Aliens.
So my question here is Annihilus like a giant man? Is he like 50 feet tall?
I think all space guys are.
No, he changes size like one or two times, but most of the time he's a big guy. Like
he looks like he's massive in this page. Is he supposed to be like bigger than them? Because he shows up later and he looks like he's the same height. So I can't figure out what he's doing with perspective.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. And also I don't care.
Yeah, no, me neither. Yeah.
No, like not to cut you guys off. Obviously, I would never do that. But
no, that's Daniel.
We're not Daniel.
No. But when I'm thinking about this pay, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe he's huge, maybe he's normal. I don't know. Who cares? Is it? You know what it is? Does it excite you? Does it get the people going? It's provocative.
No, it definitely excited me. I started like rubbing my shiny shirt. I was feeling good. Yeah. So they turn invisible, they run away, and then they get chased by more demons. And we get Ridley Scott reference number 2, maybe?
No, it's just number 1.
No,
it's always this is a Ridley Scott nightmare.
Ridley Scott nightmare.
And then the queer-coded character shows up.
Oh,
he's queer-coded. He's got the rainbow flag around him. He looks he looks
flamboyant,
I mean,
he's a gay boy.
This is like Johnny Storm's like temptation, who's like standing in for Alex Ross's temptation. Like, oh, am I pining for Sue or am I pining for Reed? Like, it's that.
Or this gay man.
Yeah.
This gigantic evil homosexual.
Yeah. What is the latent message there? Like what's Ross trying to get?
He's a flamer. Flame on.
We talked about this page already. There's some cool colors, cool demons going on here.
The whole blacklight section goes kind of crazy.
It does. Yeah.
Then we got some more clunky.
But still, hold on. Still hard to see. There's so many times where it's like he's so feeling himself with the storytelling that I think it's hard. Like I don't know what panel goes where, but like I said, if it's provocative, it gets the people going. That's what we want. So.
Yeah, like some may argue that this entire sequence is unnecessary, and I would think that's a very stupid thing to say, just because this is like the most that Ross cooks in this entire book.
Yeah. Is it necessary to the story to show them fighting a gay nightmare demon? Yeah, but if it wasn't in there, would the book be less homophobic? Yeah. So you have to have it.
The only part of that I take issue with, Ramon, is like they don't
Not
even
the
really
homophobia, is it?
They don't really fight this demon.
I'm reading into it homophobia.
They run away from this guy, and like I think that's maybe one of my personal biggest complaints with this book is there's actually very little fighting. They're on the run the whole time, and you can make that work. But I feel like he didn't want to or didn't know how to stage actual fight sequences. There's very little actual combat.
Isn't it a little wild that it's never clobbering time in this book?
It's never clobbering time. It was
not a single clobbering time. Yeah, you would think that for a book that's so like staunchly,
fan service.
Yes, fan service, and also just like firmly footed in the 60s, there would be at least one clobbering time in this book, but there's not even a single one.
It's never a clobbering time in the negative dimension. where time and space is completely different.
You
It's
can't
crazy.
clobber when there's balls floating around.
It is in
clobbered
fact
these nuts.
It is in fact lights out time, darkness time, and then we get what I found to be sort of an interesting monologue from this villain, where he says, "It's me. It's time to give it up. Your work isn't what it used to be." And he says all that. You're over the hill. You should retire. And I thought
crazy.
like Ross would have this statement about like the timelessness of the FF, or like who tried to take the throne. But no, he just gives up on that. He doesn't do anything with that thread.
There's a couple times where it feels like I think he thinks he's making a statement,
Yeah.
but then he doesn't. Like there's also a whole thing with like positivity and negativity, where I'm like, okay, maybe he's talking about like Twitter or something. Like, you know, he's always thinking about like how bad social media is, but he doesn't do anything with it. He doesn't make any statement. It's just like at this point, yeah, I think this guy's supposed to be a troll or something, and he's like, yeah, they're gonna defeat him or whatever, but they don't even. You're right. They just move on.
It's the whole book is moving on. So we turn the page and they're like wrapped up in more of these like bugs and demons.
Yeah.
Then I didn't really understand how they got away, but they just do. Like we get this is like
I think
our
it's
one.
just because Annihilus comes through and they're like, oh. Perfect.
Annihilus is here. Never mind. Oh, guys, Annihilus is here. Let's go.
Time to move on to the next thing.
They go through a tunnel, and even the Fantastic Four is like, "Well, that took like surprisingly fast. Like we're getting good at that, running away shit."
We did get that one cool shot of Ben like punching and like tearing apart some bugs. Like finally there's some blood.
Oh yeah, like with the purple background.
That was cool.
I like those panels. He does it again with Reed like 3 panels later. And like I don't know, there are certain elements of the coloring that doesn't work. Like again, the Thing being orange. That would have been a perfect spot to do
just not have it be orange.
Yeah,
maybe
like
red.
You got red,
maybe
pink. I feel like pink would have been really good
maybe
for that one.
Just yellow. Maybe any other color than orange.
Green.
But it has to be.
Well, see, like I like
which is by the way, it's so funny that the thing that he was so psyched about was that the thing was the wrong color in that like 70s reprint, and he doesn't do it in this. He's afraid. Yeah. But anyways, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, just that like I liked that Reed was green on the bottom of that page like that. I was really stoked on that at first.
That's good.
But then it's still cool. But like then when you tell me that like, oh, this is a thing that he's been meditating on for like 30 years, like it's less interesting to me then, you know?
Yeah, he's been. Yeah, well, like so. Another backstory on this thing was that when after they finished Marvels, him and Busiek, right?
Yeah.
Busiek went on to do Astro City, but they wanted him to do like some other sequel to Marvels, some other thing. He did Kurt Busiek's Astro City. I'm sorry. But Alex Ross, they were like, "What if you did a retelling of Fantastic Four 51?" Like they wanted him to retell this comic, like just paint it, expand on it, make it longer, fill in the blanks of like, you know, all those unnecessary details nobody needed filled in. Just do that. So he has been thinking about this book since then. He's always thought about revisiting it because he just thinks it's so cool. It's like iconic and like important. So obviously it's something that he should do, you know, but when he talked about making this, he talked about how he wanted to make a template so that the Marvel movies could see how they're supposed to appropriately adapt a Jack Kirby comic. And
that's exhausting.
That's funny because of how often, like, you know, what the MCU doing Fantastic Four people are throwing around their pitches. And the one pitch that I see so often, I'm not sure if this was like a Landis pitch, but having the Fantastic Four being a family from the 60s, you know, like
I saw that
out of time. Yeah, like you see it very, very often on.
He suggested it in the thing. He was like, or in this podcast I listened to, he was saying how it should be. Maybe they could be from the 60s and go forward in time, or you know, whatever. Weird. Why? Who cares?
Yeah, snooze. They get spirited away by a nihilist, sort of. We get another awkward flashback, and then we get this like homophobic weird line where Ben says, "Yeah, but weren't we supposed to stop that guy, your old buddy, from popping back up in our world?" I don't know why my thing is Alex Jones, but I'm gonna run with it
crazy.
now. Yeah, we're keep doing that. But then Reed says he seems to be pure negative energy now, hence the Nega Man. I don't think he himself can come through without some artifact from our world. When we said I'd left others there, he was referring to your doppelganger, Ben.
Lots of he's.
Lots of he's. But then we go, I think they needed a shell to keep.
Yeah, I noticed that they too, and I thought that shit was okay. We love what is it? Non-binary. We love the MB. Sorry, I got to be honest with you guys. I didn't go to bed last night.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I've been vibrating at a high frequency all night, so I'm a little. Here's what happened. Me, Tamara, Sophie Campbell, my friend Tony, we ended up watching that show, The Button, on The Cut, you know?
Oh yeah, where the two people are like at the table and they
So we were just watching The Button.
Was that where the guy flipped out about the chick thinking Marvel was anime?
Yeah, it started because none of them had seen The Button before, so I had to introduce them to it. And so then after that, we watched every single episode, and then we were making button jokes all night about like when Alicia Masters saw the thing she hit the button on his ass. It was so fucking good.
I gotta say, despite your sleep deprivation, you're remarkably coherent, better than I would be.
Yeah, definitely better than both of us.
I just couldn't remember non-binary people. I had a Joe Biden moment.
It's at least 3 genders. Just remember
that. At least 3. Come on.
And then
But yeah, by the way, I thought when he was talking about like being negative and all that shit, I'm like, this is what, I'm like, oh, this is the point, but it's not the point either.
No, there's no point. There is no point.
There's no point of this fucking comic.
There's no message.
There's no narrative. Like, there's no narrative attempt at telling any kind of message. Which in that way,
something we get very, very close near the end with Ricardo Jones and the Thing. But even then,
in the sense that there is nothing being said here, though, in that way, it is a modern comic.
I mean,
in the sense that it's completely pointless and strictly done to like capitalize on this intellectual property. In that way, it is just a modern comic. But
what he could do with that to make it really interesting is like leave it exactly the same, but just take out all the speech bubbles. Like then you could say maybe there's something more symbolic going on here, right?
How do it like a enough said. You guys remember when Marvel did those Enough Said comics? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, quietly did one. Don't play with me, bro.
But that would be like a literal nothing said. But no, this is like the worst of nothing said. It's gesticulating towards like Twitter. It's gesticulating towards homophobia.
I don't think it's gesticulating towards anything, honestly.
Like, the homophobia is just us reading into it. Although I know,
but it's fun.
But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Why would the guy with the eyeliner be evil?
I mean, you get that line where Reed says, "You are a thing that thinks it's a man, but you're just an echo of one."
That's hella wild. First of all, don't deny his gender just because he's a floating head in space surrounded by goblins.
They is a
they. Sorry,
they is a glob in space. All right, and then my favorite part is right afterwards. The things like, "Really, you had to tell Pinocchio he wasn't a real boy."
I love that, and that shot is just a gigantic fucked up image of the Thing's taint as well.
And his toes. Don't forget
you got some toes.
Yeah. Well, you have to pay for that. My version doesn't have it.
Okay. My bad.
All right. So Reed turns into a parachute for like the 5th time in this book. And then they start drifting towards the anti-Earth.
Right. This is from the 51 comic, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, as someone who didn't read 51,
a Philistine.
Yes. No significance. Did not care what that meant. This is also like where the book fell apart for me. Like I did actually really enjoy this book up to this point, but
for real?
Yeah.
I hated every second of it. No, I'm playing. I like the art. I think the art.
Yeah,
I think
the
it's
art.
beautifully drawn.
I think the art up until, I mean, even through the end, I think I liked it from an artistic perspective, just because it was Ross doing something different than I'd ever seen him do.
When we got on, I said, I can't believe you guys had me read this bullshit, but but anyways,
I mean,
with peace and love. I love this book.
There is something fun about making you read something that is stir up emotions, let's say.
Yeah.
But no, the reason this fell apart is like me not knowing the anti-Earth was one thing, but this is where that clunky dialogue is like, it's just screechingly bad.
When Reed gets into his real nerd shit.
But see, like, that's what I'm talking about, though, when I talk about the 51 comic being like, none of that matters. The basics of the story are what matters. The details are just window dressing. It's just there to make a very simple story. It could be a Western. It could be anything.
Right.
But it's sci-fi, so they do that sci-fi dialogue. In this, I think he really means it.
Yeah, like
it's just worse. That's so much worse.
I think he really thinks that stuff is a thing, like that the negative energy would do this and do this and do this. Like, I really do think that he spent real time trying to figure it out, because if it's not, it doesn't service a story in any way. It doesn't. It just trips you up when you're trying to.
You know what it sounds like? There's this copy pasta called the Turbo Encabulator, I think it is.
Okay.
Where it's just like
that kind
person,
of thing.
Yeah, a person explaining something, and it's just complete bullshit, and that's what the dialogue feels like to me. It just feels so obtuse. It feels so dense. Like it's like Reed, obviously, I was half expecting Ben or Johnny to be like, hey, can you say it in English, please?
He does. Yeah, they never do. He never does.
Well, yeah, it's like,
they just pile on. They're just like a dimensional interface. It's like, what?
Whoa.
Well, the real failure of this type of writing too is it's like setting up rules that like don't make sense to the reader. And like, I think making up rules in a sci-fi or fantasy story are fun if they're rules we can understand. Like in Green Lantern,
if they mean anything.
Right. Yeah. Like in Green Lantern, he can make stuff out of the ring for 24 hours. Or like, there's the notebook in that Death Note anime. Like those are things that like different types of readers can like plug into. I did not know.
It's like rooted in fantasy in a way, like Grimm's Brothers Tales, like, oh, she eats the apple and, falls asleep or whatever. It's like that, but in a different context. It's not supposed to be something you dwell on.
But you can do that with like fake science, and I do kind of dwell on it only in that I'm like, okay, so what are the stakes for these characters? That is where I dwell on it, because I'm asking myself, are they in danger? And it just kept going back and forth. Like, will they be in danger from the antimatter or not? Like, he just kept explaining, oh, the negative energy hits the positive energy, but it didn't really. Like, it's very.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's actually just like a very elaborate way of putting focus back on the shiny suits.
Yes, right. It is actually. That is what's going on.
In the because like the whole point is they try to figure out how can we get into the Earth's atmosphere, this negative Earth's atmosphere, and they're like, okay, well, if we all use all of our powers combined, kind of, plus the suits or whatever that he made, the shiny suits, then we can just like go into the Earth. But like, who gives a shit?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Doesn't mean anything.
Right. There's no actual risk here. And what's interesting is he almost taps into some risk. Like Ben is expressing his mortality, his fear of death.
Right.
And that is plugging into something interesting. But then we see Sue Storm's other superpower where she gaslights the shit out of him.
I was going to say, it opens with her like monologue in that Secret Origins where she's like, I feel so bad that I called the thing a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, and then in this, she's like, dude, you're kind of a pussy right now.
Oh, you think about your mortality? What are you, a fucking bitch?
And then she's going, oh yeah, my husband, the guy who's responsible for turning you into an ugly rock man, he's never done you wrong. You're fine.
Yeah. The thing is, this is every white woman who's ever existed. That's just how they behave.
Yeah, that's the one thing that isn't specifically from the 60s,
Well, that's the other thing that's not in this book from the 60s, which is Reed Richards going like, shut up, bitch. Because he always was like cutting her down. And shit. He never does in this book.
Well,
I was really waiting for it.
Well, where like Ben is kind of the incel, Reed is sort of a volcel. Like he doesn't really care about sex. It's
I mean,
just
well, he
weird-
never
more
has.
I mean,
weird
no, I
psychology.
mean, it's not entirely true. When they emerge from their bedroom early in the book,
Oh yeah,
Sue is what we presume to be naked because Johnny
That's
goes,
right.
ew.
Ew.
Yeah, Johnny
So-
is written like a 7-year-old how he handles sexuality. It's very strange.
Which is crazy because in the comics he was already slamming ass at this point.
Yeah.
In the 50s,
Johnny-
in 51 he was out in school.
Yeah,
like,
Johnny should not be
banging.
talking like someone who doesn't get bitches. He gets bitches.
That's the one thing about Johnny Storm. He's gonna get bitches. You know?
Yeah, and he gets no bitches in this one. Not a single
Yeah,
one. Even when they're
not-
on that Earth, he's not even hitting up a
Not
single
even on
one
the
of the women.
anti-Earth, right?
I thought when
Yeah.
he saw that bitch with the big brow, he's gonna say, "Hey, let me see what that brow do." But
Man,
no.
if only you had been co-writer on this, Ramon. This book would have
If I
rocked.
would have been there, if only I was there. If
She
only
would've
Alex
been-
Ross
she
didn't
would have
block
gotten
me
down
on
different
Twitter.
on anti-Earth.
If only he had contacted the real negative man, me.
All right, so they lower themselves to the anti-Earth, and Ben starts some shit and starts punching some penises. I mean drones. As they're lowering
Very
down.
Phallic.
Then they get confronted by the locals. A shout out to this page with the soldiers storming up. I did think this was a fun, maybe incidental or accidental, Quitely-esque image, but I did like the little
He's drawing
jogs.
me
he's
this.
catching.
Stop playing with my boy, dude. He's drawing out here.
What? Sorry, what?
I said, stop playing with my boy, Alex Ross. He's really drawing out here.
No, that's
Yeah,
what I mean.
this
Like
is-
it
this
rocks.
is-
Like I don't think he's trying to do a Quitely thing, but it's cool. Like it reminds me of Quitely.
I know what you mean. It's because, I mean, first of all, it's like a bunch of people running like that, and I feel like it creates like a strobe effect. It's a classic, like kind of quietly move.
Yeah, it works for me. It's cool.
If it would have been a real quietly move, he would have been hitting some of them so that it makes the action of them falling. But you know, Alex Ross is a novice, bro. He doesn't do real storytelling like that. He's just a little painter guy. Don't be too hard on him.
He is afraid of violence. Like I don't mean like me. I'm not trying to psychologically deep dive that much, but I think he's just like afraid of drawing it. Like he doesn't know how to draw like people.
when he
getting hit.
does, it's always at the hand of some other writer. Like Busiek's like, yeah, come on, Ross, write some violence for me. Don't be a bitch. But draws Spider-Man beating the shit out of Green Goblin for me. Why
I've
don't
never
you?
seen it, but like it's the same as sexuality. I don't think it appeals to him in any way. I don't think like raw human like shit really does anything for him.
Yeah, everything just has to be like crystalline, you know, like perfect, amberized.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
it's
I
a-
mean, I will say, like, his art with the soldiers, I think, is the most interesting, I would say, or among the most interesting artistic decisions. Just
does
because
what-
it just feels so unlike, you know, like his regular stuff. Like that first one where they're all running and it's like duotone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like something that would come out of a what you would expect a Ross comic to be.
I give him a lot of credit for trying stuff. He's really giving it his all. Like, you know,
It's an E for
this
effort.
picture of the
It's an
thing
E-
with like his with him like grabbing the giant dick rocket thing. It's another fantastic shot of the Thing's package and his taint and everything. And like you don't see
And
a lot of
toes.
artists trying to do that, you know? He's really like doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
like I said, there's a lot of shiny Thing dicks in this.
it's interesting. Like he's speaking of like, you know, things that artists have tried. Like I remember how he drew the torch in Marvels. Like, granted, that's the Golden Age torch, but I feel like this Johnny Storm torch is drawn exactly the same.
Yeah, he did like a photo negative thing. That was his whole innovation.
Right. Anyways,
Um,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, the soldiers catch up to them, and then some locals speaking in an indecipherable alien language come up. We got
It's actually Iroquois. How dare you?
Yeah, come on.
That's right. It was Iroquois.
Yeah, so I was waiting until we got to that part. I mean,
were
we might as
almost
well
there.
skip. We might.
Sorry,
we might
no,
as
let
well
it.
yeah,
Hold
okay,
on.
you know what, Salt? You can go.
Let him get to that point.
We'll
Let
get
him.
there. That part rocks, actually. All right, so a lion man and not Spock and Brow Chick and a big armored guy show up. There's some miscommunication going on here, classic Fantastic Four style.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Reed Richards saying, English, maybe this Earth's developed along more similar lines than I would have guessed. And that would be more true than you'd believe, Dr. Richards, says the man in the armored suit. Reed says, what? You know us? The man in the armored suit takes off the helmet to reveal his face. And it's the Thing doppelganger, surrounded by some Kirby crackle.
It's my guy Ricardo.
Ricardo Jones.
Ricardo Jones.
Still unnamed. There's some further confusion with things saying, what? We just saw your corpse. And then we get this indecipherable exchange about how that was my positive body. That was my dead body. My dead negative body. This is my positive body.
Yeah.
Then we get the info dump. And one of you guys want to read the origin of the anti-Earth and the Iroquois success behind it?
Sure, I can start with the middle panel there, where he says, you would be astounded by how the history of this world diverged from our own. Here, the First Nations of the Iroquois people meant extraterrestrial Hephaestan travelers that they intermingled with. Yep. And this is my favorite line in the entire thing. It says, the direction of manifest destiny went a whole other way.
That's my favorite line, too. That rules.
Imagine if the Native Americans had met the aliens and not the white man.
I will say, different. I will say, bro, want to be James Cameron so bad.
He's so bad.
bro, want to be James Cameron so bad.
You're not him.
And maybe this is obvious to you guys, but it's like only hitting me now that like Hephaestus is the analog of Vulcan. So he's saying this is Spock.
I don't think anyone's confused about this guy with the Spock face being Spock.
No, I know it's Spock. I didn't realize he was doing Spock that much with the Hephaestus reference.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well I don't know what that means, Hephaestus, but it's
Hephaestus
clearly
is the Greek
god of
the Roman
machinery.
Yeah, Vulcan is Roman and Hephaestus is Greek, but they're the same god.
Got it. Okay, well that's what's up. Shout out to the Iroquois people.
Shout out to the Iroquois people.
Getting it on with Spock and overthrowing the U.S. Empire.
Blah, blah, blah.
And then afterwards,
it is funny that's part. Like, that meme where it's like society if, it's like, this is that, like, society if the Iroquois met the Hephaestian aliens. I didn't know Alex Ross was so anti-imperialist. That's what's up.
I mean, good for him. And then he says, although being in the negative zone or antimatter universe brought endless threats, given their advanced science, they created a force field that protected this Earth from even the destruction of its counterpart solar system.
I don't know what any of that means, but good for them.
It's very much just like if the white man had not set back the natives so much, they would have done this.
Can I give my take? My big take is that if this book had skipped all the bullshit before they get into the anti-Earth, had something with these people and the Fantastic Four, it would have been a fucking classic.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Because the thing is, this is Alex Ross creating something, inventing something. He gives us these 4 superheroes that are like new, unique thing. That's the closest he ever comes to doing a Jack Kirby thing. The rest of that is just doing what we all know, which is just playing the hits. You're a cover band. This is when he's actually doing something that Jack Kirby could be actually proud of. Now, he does it as soon as we get it. We have to move on from it because he ran out of space 64 pages in. But this is the exciting part of the book. This is him doing Eternals, doing New Gods, doing something.
It's like the most humanist as well that this book gets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like everything prior to that is just like, oh, you know, things are just happening. But this is the first time where it's like, you know, you see that the thing has had a profound impact on Ricardo Jones somehow. And
Right. Which
you know,
we knew
like,
from the 51 comic, but yes.
right, exactly. We us too.
Yeah, right. Not Salt, who couldn't
Not
be
Salt.
bothered to read a 15-page comic, but whatever.
whatever. And then you know, like Reed giving up part of his very shiny suit again, really getting to see the suit,
Really
you know, like
shiny.
really shiny, and you like you see his ass too, you know, like when he's cutting it off.
I'm
you're like,
telling
"Oh,
you, if he could have stretched that over the dick and got away with showing like just a perfect
bulge."
yeah, just a perfect bulge, you know, that shit, he would have done it.
Yeah, he would have. So yeah. I mean, like this part, I actually did like. You know, like obviously it falls apart in terms of the incongruity with, you know, like everything that came before. But like this is the most that Ross has tried in this entire book.
Yeah, when he gives him the shiny spacesuit, it's that it has like some negative. I don't know. Listen, I can never. If you paid me $100 right now, I couldn't explain what the fuck the suit does. Right, but it means a lot to the bald guy. It means a lot to Ricardo Jones. He cries. He has a moment where he goes, "I've been living in this big metallic suit for so long. Thank you." And he's tears running down his fucking grotesque cheeks. And you know what? I felt that.
Yeah.
He's finally going to be able to be himself now that he's got his shiny fabric from Mr. Fantastic. He can wear his pearlescent spandex suit.
Latex. Yeah.
He's this is a pride
latex
moment.
Saves the world.
This is about this man coming out as Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, this I would maybe lean a little less from the queer reading and more like the more like vanilla guy going into more BDSM stuff, you know?
That's probably more accurate, yes.
Like, hey, I can wear a cock ring, like it's fine.
This is actually him signing up for his FetLife account.
That's actually a much better reading of the situation.
No, you were in the right direction. It's cool.
I mean, close. This suit was so shiny that I'm like, oh, it must be about that he's gay, but it's like, nah, it's that he's.
And then afterwards they get the nega bands, you know, like the cuffs.
Yeah.
So you know they
slam them together.
It's cuffing season.
It's cuffing season. You know, like they're like, oh yeah, we see that you have the shiny suits, but we got a little some of our own too. You know, and then they bring out the cuffs and they're like, yeah, put on these cuffs.
It's how they get back. They're able to vibrate to like a different dimension or something. It's so stupid. It means nothing.
This is a classic thing. This is just like Captain Marvel shit.
Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
All right,
Bob
so they
gives him cool bracelets and he leaves.
They teleport back, and there's a little bit of a thank God we're back. Some really like superfluous dialogue. And then our ending is Reed and Ben reflecting on what happens, and really more Reed reflecting. And Ben, I did like what Ben had to say here at the end, where he just says, "Yeah, we're home, we're safe. Can't you just be happy for once?"
Yeah.
Like that's great. Like Reed is the one.
That's us at the end of the book. He's pretty much being like, "Yeah, like, you're home. Just stop fucking doing your fucking dialogue. We're done, right?"
They're not, but again, it's not really saying it. It's like,
no, of course.
When I read that with friends, it was sort of like it just like ends. Like it's just like, oh, yeah. Okay, it's like you would think there's another page where like he's walking away, or no, there's just
there's no like big spread to end it on.
The thing that gets me is like you shouldn't have the other panels overlapping over the final shot. That's just again little trick from an old school pro to Alex Ross. It makes it feel like it's not the last shot because there's things over it. Yeah, that's just me though.
Yeah. It feels like a middle page basically.
I think that's the problem though, is like he is doing that a little bit purposely. Like I'm agreeing with you. He shouldn't do that. But like with the direction Ben is looking at the end, like it seems to signify, you know, there are more adventures to come, which, you know, is treating me like I have the intelligence of a dog. Like I know there's more, dude.
No, listen, as a storyteller, you want to pull out from that shot a little bit. That way there's like some scope to it or something.
Yeah,
there's just the way the shot, it's a medium shot to end the book. And it's also, there's, like I said, 3 panels covering it. So it's not even like a really good medium shot. it's a cluttered medium shot. But again, this is all technical stuff you guys wouldn't understand. You're not really old school pros like
sorry, we're not old
me.
school pros. Yeah.
You're not. You
No.
don't. You haven't lived it. You haven't told stories like that.
Well, this is why we invited an old school pro on to
Yeah, we
help
had
us
to-
understand
So I
where
can
this
criticize Alex Ross for being a bitch.
Speaking of artistic decisions, you know, we see the shot of like Sue hugging Franklin and Valeria, and we don't actually see Franklin and Valeria. We only see like the backs of their bodies.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if he has that John Byrne problem where he draws his kids like adults, you know, like kids with
I don't
adult
like-
faces. And
How Reed is undressing in front of his children.
Did we disturb you? Is a really good line of dialogue.
It's, and by the way, underneath Reed, there's like a fucked up looking like orangutan doll or something. Like I don't know what that is, but it's unsettling.
It's like a
That
mask,
face.
man.
It's fucked up.
yeah,
It's the kids are not all right. But yeah, no, I mean, so that was the Fantastic Four full circle.
it was definitely one of the books of all time, I will say.
Yeah, I'm not giving it a rank. I don't do rankings.
No.
Nothing out of seven.
But you know what the whole thing reminded me of is like when Bruce Springsteen puts out a new album, right? People, they're not judging it on the music of it. They're judging it as like, is this a new album from Bruce Springsteen? Yes, I love it. You know what I mean? Like nobody's legitimately listening to that shit. When Huey Lewis and the News put out a new album right before Huey went deaf, I listened to it because I love Huey Lewis and the News. You know, it's like he used to play. I remember when he put that out, he said like, I used to play for people who drink hot dogs and beer. And now I play for people who at the shows drink wine and cheese. It's a different crowd. Like he's making that when these young rockers, you know, when they make this like old boomer music, there's something that's just kind of like detached, you know. And I know you guys wanted to talk about like the pricing of this thing, the distribution of this thing, which I want to get into too, but there is definitely an aspect of this comic where you read it and it just feels like this is not for my generation. There's nothing about this that feels accessible or fresh in any way.
Exactly.
And you know, it doesn't need to. Like old people can get things too, you know. In fact, they have the money
But I mean,
to get
the
them
real
too.
question is like, they can get them, but are they getting them? You know, like, are the old people like, is fucking Joe Schmo who's like 60 something years old interested in getting Fantastic Four full circle? I don't know.
I think so. I mean, I think
Maybe. I don't know. Well, that's the one piece of research I didn't do. But you know what? The one piece of research I did do was
that
Alex Ross's Fantastic Four proposal. Because again,
okay,
not just an effort to show that I actually did research, but one thing that went around a lot on Facebook, because I was very into being online on Facebook between 2017 and 2019.
Ooh, you've been around for
in
so long, Lan.
Oh, I mean, I've had a Facebook account for God knows how long, but I don't want to think about that. Anyways, the one thing that would always go around was this Fantastic Four pitch that Alex Ross had that he made in 2017. And looking back at it now, it's literally just the pitch for Full Circle. Like,
yeah, he talked about
here.
being really bummed about how he was supposed to he was talking to editors about how he wanted to do the pitch, but I don't know who wrote it when it came back. Was it Wade?
It was Slott. Dan Slott, Stockton.
Hell yeah.
He said some writer. He didn't go by name. Not Stockton's own. Don't do that. he didn't say which writer. He just said some name of some writer had it in their contract that if ever came back, they got first right of like.
That sounds like a Slott thing to do.
Yeah. Like, what do you want? Like, Slott, we want to sign you for another exclusive. Well, if you let me do Fantastic Four, okay. We thought you were gonna ask for more money, but all right.
We thought you were gonna ask for another decade of Spider-Man.
Thought you were going to ask for self-respect, but we can give you the Fantastic Four someday.
But yeah, let me read this paragraph because I feel like the paragraph of this pitch explains like the entire vibe of what this book is, and it's crazy. The logo and everything is what is the exact same. And then there's this one shot that's actually used or like redrawn for the book.
I think I've seen
like,
it
early. Yeah, like that one. So the paragraph pitch is: the Fantastic Four is so grounded in the early 1960s. To be true to that period's aesthetic is to understand why it worked at all. I thought it would be essential that these images would be drawn, not painted. I wanted the blacklight poster effect, something that would get inside your head in an interesting and surreal way. The key here is the flat color pop art feel that transports you to another time. This is a window into the 1960 pop art scene, as if you're looking at a book that is all done in fluorescent colors. This is antithetical to what I normally do. The drawing has to be enough. Despite all my powers, I could not save this pitch. I stole the logo from Fantastic Voyage. They's be wearing removable windbreaker jackets, work clothes in a way, visible wrinkles wherever possible, something that was true to Kirby's original vision. The four is two shapes intersecting, embrace the brighter blue. So like you can see a lot of the blood, the genetics of Full Circle in this pitch. And it really does feel like he just redressed a lot of his, because this was a pitch for a Fantastic Four reboot.
Yeah.
And it feels like he redressed a lot of that, which makes me scratch my head more about what he wanted this reboot to even be. Because this is just like
it's like an aesthetic jumping off point, but it doesn't,
Right.
But again, like that doesn't matter to him. Like it doesn't, he doesn't have, like when you talk about like Grant Morrison's pitch for New X-Men, what they said was they, after so many years, things begin to get militaristic. And so the X-Men had to be cool. And now, so it's black and day glow, neon instead of blue and yellow. And what are new superheroes in the 2000s? Like he had a whole idea about evolution and, all these big ideas. Sorry, you get the idea. But when they had that idea, it was about a new direction and new ideas for what the X-Men were. This Fantastic Four thing is like, so how would I draw the Fantastic Four once? And then, I'm assuming if I can do it once, I can do it, 100 other times to make a book. But
it's a sequence of images, basically.
Yeah, I don't think, other than like it's the 60s, it's Jack Kirby. He doesn't have an idea for what this is supposed to be. He doesn't have an idea about what the Fantastic Four mean to anybody, about what like the values they're supposed to represent. But again, to be fair, most writers don't in comics. Like in fairness, the reason I go back to Grant in 2001 is because nobody else really did shit since then, honestly.
Yeah,
it's the same as their
Batman force.
Their Batman pitch being the holistic take of all Batmans existing on one wavelength in time, and like, yes, that's very cool. That's a take for Batman that we haven't seen yet. Alex Ross's would be
what if Batman was in the 60s? The Batman we know is one where underwear outside his pants and like a long flowing cape. I really want to reinvent how the Batcave looks, and you have to give Ross credit for trying, but like his idea of just being extremely faithful to Jack Kirby, when Jack Kirby was always about pushing the boundaries of like the next thing, is like it's antithetical to the mindset. Yeah.
And it fails to capture like the magic of like what like a reader, often a kid, would find appealing with these characters. Like a character like Spider-Man has just worked for years because like the idea of like swinging around on these ropes around the city like is just visually really cool. But like the Fantastic Four, like we've seen it already with like adaptations of The Incredibles. So like beyond the powers, the only thing they can really make work here is like it's a family. So like he doesn't. The
familial aspect is what they have to sell the book on. Like there's very or there's only so far you can go with just the sci-fi stuff, just because of how much sci-fi stuff exists. You know, like you talked about him pulling from Star Trek. You know, like a lot of this plot feels like something that Star Trek would do in like a filler episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I'm
Yeah,
saying
it's a
though
lot
is
of Star Trek-y kind of bullshit.
that stuff is fine, but like a lot of other people have been able to do it just as well. So like him saying like we need to be faithful to this, it's trying to justify this franchise through its sheer existence rather than just letting it develop and become something. Like it's stuck in amber because they keep it in amber, you know, to borrow your phrase.
What is your guys' appreciation for Jack Kirby?
Like,
So that's a good question because I was a huge Kirby head when I was like in my early 20s, and I really liked the weird shit he did towards the end of his career. But like where I'm at now is I feel that his aesthetic has kind of trapped a lot of mainstream comics.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's trying to rebottle that. I mean, I have a lot more I could say, but I don't want to start rambling.
For me, I encountered, like, I started reading comics in 2007 or 8 when I was like 10.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I started reading Kirby around 2010-ish because that's when the library was going to finally had access to Kirby comics, and it felt very different from what I was reading because by the time I'd gotten to Kirby comics, I'd gotten so used to, like, you know, regular house style big two shit. So Kirby felt like this drastic pull away from what I had been so used to, and that sort of set me off on this you know, like, again, for a 12-year-old it's a weird thing to come across. But then nowadays, you know, it's weird seeing the reverence that artists have for Kirby stuff without actually like paying it respect through their work in a way that matters, if that makes any sense.
Well, there's that quote from Kirby himself, like the quote that always stuck from Kirby when I was getting really into esoteric stuff, like, you know, past like the New Gods and Eternals and stuff he did at his end of his career, when I was like looking for more of his original art and like reading about his process and his philosophies. Like he straight up said, like, if you're inspired by what I do, don't just draw what I did. If you want to do something really Kirby-esque, like make up your own thing. And like that always stuck with me with Kirby.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard that quote, but that's always I like that when I think of Kirby, that's the thing, you know, it's like sort of not just doing these nonstop pastiches. Like that's not what, you know, it's not what, it's like the squared fingertips, the Tom Scioli bullshit means nothing to me because that's not Kirby. That is somebody doing a bad version of Kirby, right? So when I first started reading Kirby at all, and I love Kirby, you know, I love the New Gods, I love whatever. Like I said, I haven't read too much of the Marvel shit, frankly. Like I read the Eternal stuff recently, and then I had read some of the Fantastic Four stuff a long time ago. But the first thing I ever read was Silver Star, and that's like deep end.
Like yeah. Okay.
That's like late Kirby.
That's like, yeah, because I just got it as like a gift. So I read it and I was just like, holy fuck. You know, like what was that? And so I read that and I'm like, damn, this is so fucking sick. And then my second like favorite stuff is like Fighting American, because it's like right before he did the Marvel shit. His art was like much cleaner, much more like naturalistic, not like the style that people know him from. Like that motherfucker could draw. Like everybody gets so hung up on the stuff that he created to be able to make a living drawing comics, that they forget that like he did all those things after he learned how to draw really good, you know?
Well, like,
so
have you seen his westerns?
Yeah, I mean, like all that stuff is sick. So the idea that when people are paying tribute to Kirby is by making it like weird and ugly. That's what I'm kind of glad, you know. Well, no, I'm not kind of. I'm very glad that Alex Ross doesn't do that in this book. Like I think he pays him a lot of respect as an artist. But when I was watching the like grand design Tom Scioli fucking jerk off fest with those two idiots and Jim Rugg, who we love, even though he was anti-Semitic.
Yeah, that one cover really.
Yeah. But is that I don't think those guys understand comic books at all. And so, like, when I watched them talk about this book and they're just like slobbering all over it, you know, they don't know what the fuck they're looking at largely. Jim Rugg does, but the other guys don't, you know. And then when they talk about the Fantastic Four 51, I think they know even less. Which is insane to me.
It's exactly what you'd expect for two guys whose entire careers are formulated off of, you know, aping other people's shit.
Right. But when they say though, like that this is Alex Ross's grand design, on some level I get it though, because it's not about story. It's not about expressing anything beyond just regurgitating the same old bullshit. There's that one moment, like we said, where Alex Ross like dares to make something new, which is insane. The Iroquois meet an alien and then they fucking destroy the white man or whatever. Beautiful idea.
Yeah. That was so dope.
Weird, insane. I wish you got to explore that more. I wish we got to see it.
Yeah, I wish that didn't happen like 5 pages before it ended.
I wish we got to see it. I wish we got flashbacks, you know. But the mentality of it, of just repackaging the same old bullshit. Granted, his looks great. There, you know, the grand design stuff looks like shit, obviously.
Yep.
But the repackaging of it, just like so that you could resell the same shit for more money, is just like so crazy to me. Like, that is not what Jack Kirby would have fucking hated that. Like, the fact that you think you're paying him a respect by doing that, any of them, is insane to me. Like, so I don't want to go on a too big of a cartoonist kayfabe rant, but to think that they're over there calling motherfuckers jobbers for working in monthly comics, and then, you know, fucking sucking off Jack Kirby like that's not what he did. It's just he happened to be very good at it and be very inventive with it, and thinking that he would be with them and not the people actually working and making real comics. It's crazy to me. It should piss me off, but whatever. I'm not upset.
It's treating these creations of Jack's like they meant a lot to him, right? Like more than they did. And it's not to say that like Jack didn't value his own work, but like,
yeah, I mean, I think he very much did. I think it did mean a lot to him. I think what was upsetting was that at the time it didn't mean a lot to the company that owned it. He knew what he was worth. He wanted the originals,
exactly.
You know?
And him, you know, him transplanting that value into his work, like, you know, like some of the women he would draw would like be his, like a stand-in for Roz Kirby. Like, I think that's really beautiful. But like, I think Jack, to different extents at different times, like understood at what point his work was his work and at what point it was IP. And I think at a certain point in his career, he knew something like, say, Fantastic Four, this is not mine anymore. It is time to move on. And he wasn't overly sentimental about that, I don't imagine, right? Versus... Well,
I think the idea that they would make a fuck ton of money repackaging it would piss him off, because he's not getting a dime from that.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is these guys see a work like Fantastic Four and relate it to Kirby and see it as like, this is his crowning achievement. And I'm sure Kirby was proud of it, but Kirby like grew and evolved for a long time after making Fantastic Four and had new ideas that he wanted to commit to the page, right?
Yeah, and that's what I mean by like the amberizing aspect of this is like they're trying to encapsulate this specific era of Kirby, like this specific snapshot of Kirby's work, when Kirby's work both before and after is so radically different. So then you're just left wondering why, you know, like why go after this specific work?
I think it honestly I think it comes a little bit back to movies, unfortunately. Like
I mean,
these guys,
for Alex
I mean,
Ross, yes, he
yeah.
really thinks that this is about movies for him.
well, and these guys have kind of a
Ridley
chip on their.
Scott. Ridley Scott.
I mean, a lot of these guys have like such a chip on their shoulder. Like, you know, these superhero movies have become like dominant in the box office, but it's like not enough. Like, we have a big Spider-Man movie, a big Avengers movie, but we haven't gotten the Fantastic Four movie. So, like, you know, whether you're doing the grand design or the full circle, you're trying to be like, look at how good Fantastic Four could work as a movie. And it makes me feel like that meme from Mean Girls where it's like, stop trying to make Fantastic Four happen. Like, I don't want,
well, first of all, there was already a very fucking good Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
the 80s one.
What?
Oh, wait, no, we were talking about the Corman ones, right?
My one with my girl Jessica Alba.
Oh,
Stop
yeah. Okay, so
stop playing, bro.
Two of them.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I've ever seen the second one.
You've never seen Rise of the Silver Surfer?
The first one was so fire that I'm like, what else do I?
With my man, what's his face with the really fucked up first name?
Ian
Grayfold.
I think it's just Ian, but it's spelled weird.
Ian Griffith.
It's Ian or Owen.
I don't fuck with him. It was my girl Jessica Alba, and Michael Chiklis.
He's great. Is the thing.
I love in the first movie where he has those gigantic Cortezes. The Nikes, the shoes, guys.
Yes.
I believe you. I
just thought you were just gonna keep saying something there.
They're fire, dude.
Yeah, they were fire. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
They're fucking huge. He wore like a size 30.
I think that like pretty much covers it for the book itself. Lan, was there anything you wanted to say for like Prestige Comics?
Yeah, I mean the only real thing I want to talk about is just like the pitch, or sort of the pitch of Prestige Comics in general, because, you know, Marvel's not the only one that's doing it. DC's doing it too. Dark Horse is doing it too. And it sort of paints both, you know, forget about the economic stuff, but like the audience for it, you know, like who are these comics made for? Like when you look at a Black Label comic, like what are the fuck CIA guys doing, you know, like who the fuck is that for? You know, and you see, like, this is so prestige. We've printed it on the best paper. You know, we've pumped up the price by like 50% just because this is a prestige comic. You know, like this is something that you should have physically in your collection. And when I look at, because I have I got the book. So I have it. So I'm the entire time I'm just wondering, like, what exactly was sold to me.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't it for you if you bought it?
I mean, I guess I bought
with it, right? You're loving that thing.
Yeah, I'm really fondling each page. You know, like I'm rubbing my fingers over.
Have you guys heard my rant about this? I don't know if I have to go on it. Like, have you guys heard my rant about this kind of shit about like comics as objects and not like content?
I mean, for the
benefit of your listeners who haven't poured over Mex Flentallo.
These Philistines.
Huge mistake if they haven't.
Yeah.
I have been so annoyed for so long that when I go to a comic shop, and I used to take the bus downtown Stockton, I'd go to Al's Comics on Pacific Avenue, right? I'd go in there and I'd get the comics that I wanted. Not a lot, just a couple. And I would always want to read the best one on my ride back out of the comic shop. I'd take the bus home. And when I would do that, I would always be a little self-conscious about the ads on the back of the comic making me look like a fucking idiot, you know? Like if I'm reading a comic and on the back of it, it's like this fucking gigantic ad for like M&Ms, I look like a fucking pedophile, you know? Because it's like, who reads little cartoon books on public transportation? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like ideally to me, and I remember Will Eisner talking about this in Eisner Miller, that he wanted to make books that were a little bit smaller and a little more intimate. That way people could read them on the train and that they would feel like adults. And so when I see stuff like this presentation, it makes me feel a little like, I don't know what, like I get that they don't have public transportation in mind. Who does? But
I do.
Certainly not the government.
right. But when you sell somebody a thing, an object, right? The reason why vinyl record sales are up and other music sales are down is because people still will support buying nice things, you know?
Yeah.
Before Kanye would go on these anti-Semitic rants, I remember him talking about he went to this radio station when Yeezus came out, and he was telling the people that were working there, if I had brought you guys shoes, you'd be losing your minds right now. But if I brought you guys copies of my album, you'd be like, okay, whatever. Maybe if I signed it, you'd be a little bit happier about it. But it doesn't mean anything to you, because at that point they had become objects. I mean, they had not become objects. They were just it was just a way to consume content. And that's what comics have become. So what I like about the prestige format is that they are trying to make things that people can have and value. Less ads should be in it, obviously.
Right.
If it's going to have a higher price point, there should be less ads. There should be a higher quality of content within it. That means I don't want to see the fucking hack work from people. I want to see the best stuff. That's why, my work with Bad Idea, I'm trying to make the best shit as I can. I don't know if it's as good, right?
I mean, it's pretty good. It's worth the $10 I paid for issue 1.
Oh, thank you so much. But the idea is, when you get that book, that you can read it on the bus, you can feel cool about it. People will look at you like, damn, what's that motherfucker? That looks sick, that you can be able to flip through it, whenever, and just want to see something fucking cool, I want when I look at a comic to have it feel special. And that's the kind of comics I want to make, right? So what I like about the prestige format is they're an attempt to do that. What I don't like about them is when it falls short in making a thing for adults. So when you have an oversized book, you look like a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's even funnier because Marvel is also doing like smaller like prestige releases of their old stuff with
Right.
Penguin.
Okay.
And that looks very presentable, like you got the nice little cover with Ditko's art, and it's like presented like you would see like a regular Penguin classic book.
Yeah.
But again, this is a comic, right? So there's the presentability aspect of it. But then it's like that one meme where it's like the workplace harassment versus
Sure.
being smooth, and the top one is someone with a Marvel Penguin classic handing it over, and the bottom one is like, hey, you want to see Fantastic Four full circle? And it's just the woman calling HR.
I'm of a similar. Sorry, go ahead, Ramon.
When I look at my like comic shelf, right, the kind of books that I like to take out if I was going to like go read something in public, like if I'm waiting for a bus or meeting somebody somewhere, I have to just kill some time. I'm looking at like Sunny, the manga that Taiyo Matsumoto.
Manga does it so well.
Sometimes, not always.
Yeah,
but
there are
sometimes.
some. Yeah,
but there are specific kinds of books that I feel like look good and cool, and those to me are worth it when you get it. Like I said, when you have big oversized books, when you have books that are just like garishly colored, when you have things that don't look like they're for adults, then yes, why are you making them for adults prices? Even the Alex Ross books, like the big, what the fuck are they called? Like the
Treasury editions?
Yes, Treasury editions. Thank you. Those things are for kids. You know what I mean?
Well, I see the same problem in the monthlies. Like, the monthlies are
that's where the biggest problem is, because they don't value anything.
Right. And you're talking about this being embarrassing to read like on a bus. Like, I think the problem, I completely agree. Like, I had the same problem when I was buying comics a lot. And like, I have the same problem, like even in my house, like if I have a guest over and I'm like reading a page, I'm like, yeah, check out the story beat. It starts here, and they'll be interested, and they turn the page, and the first reaction 100% of the time was, look at this stupid ad. And it's like a kid like chewing bubble gum. And it's like, this book failed. Like, this book failed to sell this art because all this person noticed was this big stupid ad.
Yeah. I mean, that's why that's why I prefer trades a lot, is because not because like I hate ads, like I don't give a shit, but if the ads were on the back of the book or whatever, like there's a time and a place, right?
Right.
But the certain image books, they look great and they are good. They're well packaged, and I think they have a lot of good focus on, where they did for a long time anyways, of making a good looking like book, like a product like that. Bad
Right.
Idea, obviously, I think does a good job. Like that's a big reason why I love them so much, other than they pay me so much. But Marvel and DC, they don't care about that. It's a write off. And so the idea that they're making the prestige comics is good. I think that, like I love the fact that Daniel's Dead Earth book, it's like incredible looking,
I was about to reference that. Like that book is something I can show to people and be like, this is cool. And like, also to counter it to Ross's, like Ross has the Fantastic Four exactly as there in 51. And like Daniel doesn't care like what the Wonder Woman continuity is. It's just a fun sci-fi story he's doing.
right.
Yeah.
And
it's like, it's approachable.
Like the Damned book, right? Like that's interesting art. It's cool. It's like in a nice package. I think I think Black Label and all that stuff is nice. And from what I understand, like Marvel doesn't want to do that. That's why this fucking other company, Abrams,
it's so
Abrams
weird
had to package it for them.
So weird.
Yeah. It's so weird because they either don't do like new prestige stuff at all, or they take their old shit and try to like prop it up as prestige, like again with the Penguin Classics. And they also did this one with Taschen, the publisher, where they just took old comics, put a nice new cover on it, and sold that. But it's weird. They don't want to do any sort of new prestige stuff. The closest they get is like when Chip Zdarsky does like a 5-issue miniseries with some fancy looking covers. But yeah, it really speaks to the disposability.
Well, they're doing Marvel's doing the Doctor Strange thing,
The which one?
That's Doctor Strange, the Trad Moore.
Oh yeah, Fall Sunrise. I have that. But then again, that's just like a regular ass comic, it has a nice cover and all, but like when you look inside, there's still ads and shit.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I guess what I was thinking was that it was a little bit different, but I guess it's not. My bad. I haven't got it yet.
Like I have the first issue right now, and I turn the page, and the first thing is an M&M.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Why is it always fucking M&Ms, dude? Why does M&M
candy?
Why does M&M think that fucking comic readers are fucking? They don't know about M&Ms. We know. We got it.
I do love in the old books that like you could order wild shit like a gun or like a life-size Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, that was peak. Like when you can just like order a live animal. Like in the 1930s and be like, oh yeah, you can order a
did
monkey.
do that. I ordered a live animal via one of those ads.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it was bad. I should not have done it. Like my parents should have stopped me. I was a child, but like I didn't understand that type of morality, So yeah.
Yeah, that's what's missing for comics nowadays.
Anyway, Ramon, thank you for joining us. I don't want to
We're done.
Well, I'm not kicking you out, but I understand you got things you got to do, and Lan's got things.
I thought I was going to record this an hour ago. You know what I'm saying? Somebody bumped the time up.
Somebody did bump the time up, didn't they?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It's okay though. We still ended up doing it.
That's the important part. And we all read a book we loved.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Fantastic 451.
Yeah, well, 2 of us did at least.
Yeah. What was it? I felt like I did other research I felt like I spent so much time reading dumb shit this morning, and I can't remember any of it.
The reviews?
You did
the reviews. That's right.
You want to talk about
we were talking about this before, right before, was that I had read the reviews for this book because I was just curious, like, wow, that was dumb, but every review for every comic is like a 9.8 now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, clearly this is going to be a 10 out of 10. Like everyone's going to love this. And they did. Everyone gave it the highest ranking they could. And you read the reviews and it's like, I don't think people even read it. Like, I don't even know. maybe they wrote reviews because they got free copies. Like I genuinely
90% of the time that's why they write reviews.
Like just because they wanted the PDF or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there were just so many reviews of people that are like, it's stunning artwork, it's gorgeous artwork, it's breathtaking artwork. It's always gorgeous. That's always my favorite comic review descriptor.
I like when they do
artwork.
Luscious. Luscious is a
Luscious. I love lush line
Exquisite.
work, you know. And yeah, they like calling this a pop art. You know, it's like pop art, like from the like Liechtenstein. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, because you know what Liechtenstein was doing was taking
off
the
Kirby.
comics. So
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly what it would be. That's right. But it's so bizarre to read these reviews and see anybody that's afraid to point out the obvious, which is that Alex Ross cannot write at all.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I just want to zero in on that Liechtenstein comment because I love that you said that. It's the perfect example of how much so many morons don't understand the comics they're looking at. Because Liechtenstein was openly mocking what Kirby was doing. Like, you know, I know there was even a little bit of like litigiousness in terms of the fact that he fucking stole his compositions and his panels. So Liechtenstein was repackaging like stuff from X-Men and war books that Kirby had done and saying, look at this trash for children. Isn't this stupid?
It's condescending.
It's condescending.
But
and
if you blow it up, isn't it? Well, actually, isn't there something interesting like outsider art about it?
Right. That's what he's doing. It's this very like dumb guy, smart guy thing. And you know what? Like it doesn't even bother me that much in itself. Like there's an audience for that. But I think where it like annoys me is that these like supposed fans and creators be like, whoa, Liechtenstein, we're doing that again. Like they don't get that like that was a criticism of their medium. They just think it's cool that their medium gets like exposure in any sense. Right?
Yeah.
There's no critical eye there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, again, I don't want to beat that drum so hard, but it's the cartoonist kayfabe shit. You know, they don't know, like when these people say that they love that shit, those guys think that they're better than those artists. Well, not Jim Rugg, but you know, Tom Scioli thinks he's better than Jack Kirby. Otherwise, why would he draw like that? But he's not better. He just went to art school. He's a fucking idiot.
Right, you think when Scioli's doing that, he's saying, like, I know how to do this, but I could do other things, but I choose to do this because I understand it so well.
Did Scioli go to the Kubert school?
No, he went to, like, a fucking art school. He was,
okay.
You know...
he just got the demeanor of a guy that went to the Kubert school.
Don't say that. I got friends that went to the Kubert. My friend Tamara went to the Kubert.
Yeah,
yes. My friend Craig went to the Kubert school. I have friends that went there. It's not the same.
Lan.
I don't know him.
Man, peace and love to Tamara, peace and love to Craig. They're both fantastic. I love Tamara's work, I must say, but
you don't know what's going on at the Kubert school. Okay, it's not Scioli's over there.
Hold on, I've derailed a bit, but I do want to know what Tamara was saying about the colors.
Oh, she wasn't feeling those colors. She just thought the colors choices were wrong. You know, even when there was stuff that was kind of nice, it was kind of the same. It's like, what, these don't look right. It feels off. You know, but you know, it's, to me, it's like the way he did those. By the way, those the colors, because it's credited as two people. Is he did color comps for every page, and then he gave it to somebody with a computer to add something to do the digital colors, and then add like screen tones and shit to it, which look bad. They don't look good either.
Yeah,
but he thought he was cooking, you know, and I thought he was not. But regardless, different strokes for different folks. It reminds me though of like when Frank Miller did Dark Knight Strikes Again, and you look at the coloring in that book, and it is so inventive and interesting, and like it's weird. It's fucking like Tamara hates that too. I think it's great, but it's bizarre and it's like it's not quite right. But there's something like actually artistic about it. This is kind of the same way, except for they're not trying to push the limits of anything. It's just like, let's actually take away and try to make it less, like, let's use less technology to make this stuff look good. But whatever. But yeah, no, the reviews for this thing, they'll talk about the colors and they'll talk about how it's, artfully done. And it's just like, dude, you don't like, there's so much of a lack of critical understanding of art in like the comics criticism community, if that even exists anymore, that I can't take it serious, And so like, that's why, frankly, me and my friends will read comics together, we'll screen share. Somebody will get the comic. We'll screen share it. We'll read the whole thing out. We'll laugh at panels. We'll laugh at bad art. And then we always go to Comic Book Roundup and then read the bad reviews and say, like, as much as we don't even like the stuff we just read, I even like this person less. Yeah. Like, I respect that even less than the review.
Truly, anyone who's reviewing to get onto Comic Book Roundup needs to learn self-respect, because they have none. There's no self-respecting person writes. Well, first off, no self-respecting person writes comic reviews in general, but
that's not true. I'm sure that there's some.
There's maybe,
I don't know who they are, but I used to know some.
I mean, writing reviews and doing critique is two different things. But yeah, anyone trying to do comic book roundup shit needs to learn self-respect.
Well, it's like, there is such a, people want this thing to be taken so seriously, but they don't take it serious. You know what I mean? Like you said, like Alex Ross, they want this to be like the movie but they don't, like, he doesn't commit himself to writing anything. He doesn't, you know what I mean? He knows how to do what he knows how to do. And I don't know what these fucking comic book reviewers know how to do, but it ain't reviewing comics. They don't know anything about comics. They don't. And it's unfortunate that, in fairness, Bendis is on the back of this book talking about how great it is too. So I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I'd be curious.
I just wish people were honest about shit now. Nobody's honest about shit. Remember back in the old days, like, not just comic reviewers who would trash fucking comics, but other comic creators would say that person fucking sucks. I mean, I don't just hear people say I fucking suck. Go ahead.
No one's doing the Peter David versus Todd McFarlane shit anymore. No one's getting up at cons, doing these fucking debates anymore.
The whole scene is dead, bro.
What's your guys' take on this? Because I've always thought that a lot of reviewers want to be writers, maybe artists sometimes.
So listen, not to plug myself too hard, but I have an episode of Max Flentallo these days coming up with David Brothers, who was one of my favorite comic reviewers.
Oh, he's
from
fantastic.
the blog days.
Fantastic.
And it's coming up. We talk a lot about this because I was on a tear and I was pissed off about, again, just bad reviews. And then I'm talking to David, who I respect a lot. So I'm just going like, dude, what has changed? And so we talk about what has changed, because I felt like there was a time where the scene was a lot more vibrant, and that's when I was reading it. You know what I mean? And so of course it's easy for me to go like, well, of course when I was reading it, not making it, I would think it was better, but no, I'm objective about this. It's much worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if I'm looking back with like rose-tinted glasses, but like the one website that I was really into as far as like reviews and commentary was Comics Alliance. Like I thought it was really vibrant.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's a weird thing because that's a scene that I don't associate with or haven't associated with for well over, technically 2 years now. But yeah, it's.
Well, when you guys do this podcast, I know mainly you guys just wanted to rip off Max Flentallo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let's just get that out of the way. Yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Listen, we were gone for a long time. I don't blame you. I'd rip me off too.
That was exactly why we did it.
I mean,
we missed it so much. We're like, well,
I don't listen. Even if you guys are joking right now, even if you guys are just joking right now, because I'm mostly joking. I didn't even, but it's, if you guys approach these comics with real points of view, with a real analysis of it, then that is already contributing more to the discourse, with whatever listeners you guys manage to get, than these shitty reviews will. This conversation that we have about the Full Circle will be 100 times more thought than has been given to this fucking book, and it deserves it because that guy put a lot of time into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's better that we talk about something so critically and like even with the negative tinge to it,
even if we're joking.
Exactly, even if we're joking, than it is to just pass it off to, again, the comic book roundup thing. That's a machine. The reviewer gets the book early, the PDF or whatever. They spit out like a bunch of random thoughts because they need to justify getting the book early. That goes into the machine. The machine puts out a number, and then the number gets, used by writers and publishers trying to do accolades for their book, so their book sells more. That's what it is. It's a machine. We're not talking about the craft. We're not talking about like what it actually means for this comic to exist. There's no appreciation. Like Jay-Z talked about this on God knows when. I love the what he said about like the turnaround, because these reviewers, they get the comic on a Sunday. They have to have their take ready by Tuesday so that when the book comes out on Wednesday, the review is also ready to come out on Wednesday. Right? It's a 3-day turnaround where they're not given enough time to really think about, the work itself, but they're also, like, how the fuck are you supposed to give, deep thoughts about the work when you're pumping stuff in and out of the machine?
My point that I made to David, though, again, without giving away too much of that episode, was that the work fucking sucks regardless. So how can I judge the reviewers too harshly when the work sucks? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't hold people accountable and talk about it, and try to dissect it and think about what's good and what's not good. But when so much of the work is mid, then like how much can I judge critics for not treating it like anything more than that? You know what I mean?
A lot of that comes from how incestuous the work itself has gotten, which you then see obviously reflected in the review culture, because the review culture can only hope to be a mirror. Maybe it can do more, but the actual medium itself that it's reflecting needs to strive for more, right? And the reviewers need to hold that accountable. Like, what I wanted to do with this show, and what I hope we're doing, is like, yes, we read comics, but like I don't read as many comics as I used to. And part of when I was reading a lot of comics was like I was reading like a lot of the wrong ones. Like I was reading like way too much like IP based stuff, and it was like reading less comics and like reading, or starting to see more types of movies, reading more types of books. Like that's what actually got me more into comics again, right? And to sort of paraphrase, like when I was reading like a lot of Kirby and a lot of this like classic stuff, this idea of, okay, well, who influenced these modern artists? Oh, it was Kirby. But then it's, well, what was Kirby influenced by, right? And it's like asking those kinds of questions that can then make you interested in the world. And that's what I want out of like comics and reviewers. Like, I want people to be interested and curious in the world around them.
I'm so glad that you said like what you wanted to do, because I was literally about to ask, like, what do you guys intend for this show to be? Like, I know you just said it, so I don't, but like, that was, to me, when I started doing my show, was like, there was no Mex Flentallo of like what I was doing when I was doing that show, when we were going week after week, it burnt me out, and it was hard to juggle that and life and my comics and, like my work, I mean. Right. But I was reading more than ever, and I was never more excited about comics than when I was doing that specific thing. And, when I bring it back, Salt, you're going to come on. We're going to do the New Frontier episode. I have not forgot that is happening. Okay. But I think when we give comics that energy in these kind of conversations, even when we're joking, even when we're making fun of them, or whatever, that is so much more valuable than like the cartoonist kayfabe, or the way Alex Ross is just regurgitating it, making it more incestuous, making it an echo chamber, like a feedback loop of the same shit photocopy of a photocopy. It's just going to keep getting worse. But when you guys look at books that are interesting and you guys talk about the politics of it, like, you know, again, I say you guys, I mean me when I was doing it.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool.
but you know, I'm assuming you guys do the same thing because you ripped me off, but whatever.
Right, yeah, sure.
You guys know I'm kidding. You know, I love you guys.
Yeah.
Well, the way I see it is like, you know, I see the Chapo boys kind of jumped off of a street fight. You know, it's something a little bit like that.
No, I don't mind that. You know, no, like legit. I'm so happy you guys are doing the show, and I'm so happy that you guys are, you know, like doing the Alan Moore book that I wanted to do. You know what I mean?
I didn't know you wanted to do that. That's cool, man.
I don't know. Yeah, we didn't know you want to do that.
No, I know you couldn't have possibly known that that's what I wanted to do. Who knows if I would have ever fucking done it? That's the thing. I'm glad that somebody is doing it. I'm genuine.
I mean, we're all
genuine.
like
I'm being serious about that. I'm not trying to.
I mean, for me, especially, like I feel like I'm just being strung along for the ride that Salt gave to me. You know, like when Salt came to me, what was it, May, about doing the MFers podcast, you know, like the what when it ended up being our Christmas special, you know, like that was very much sort of like a thing that I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then I sort of procrastinated a lot to the point where it took 6 months for me to actually end up editing the episode that we recorded back in June.
Oh wow.
But then in October, I think at some point I kind of started reevaluating my own relationship with comics because I just had not been reading comics at all. And that's when I kind of went to Salt and be like, all right, let's just do this thing, but then sort of just go off the cuff, you know, more in depth to like what we want out of our comics and what we feel about what we're reading, just so that I can like figure out what the fuck I'm actually feeling when I'm reading these things, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's, like that, you know, that I think is good. And I think that people should have those conversations. If anyone listens to this, I don't know if they will, but if anyone does, you know, and you guys start a podcast too, that's great. Yeah. You start a blog, that's great. You know, I mean, it's like, about building a community of people with good opinions about the shit, not just the same opinions, but just good ones, or, you know, it's the same way that, like, you know, a lot of when I do the show, it's like, you know, I'm looking at old blogs and looking at old shit that people wrote about stuff, and, you know, the Morrison book and the Eisner book and whatever, like all that shit, you know, like if we want this medium to be taken seriously, and I do because I'm working in it, right? That's why it was so important to me to do it in the first place. Like, it can't just be fan service fucking jack off bullshit. It can't. Otherwise, then why would anyone else give a fuck if that's the low grade shit that it has to offer? You know, I just think it has more to offer. Even when it's fucking, you know, Trouble, the Mark Miller comic that we about how they're all just like, you know, fucking each other and shit, like dumb shit. But, you know, that's fun. It's interesting. There's stuff there.
And you can use it as a lens to like understand the world. Like there's fucked up guys like Mark Millar and like guys
when
like
we do our Unfunnies episode and I finally get to pull those issues out of my closet,
I do my Unfunnies episode. Don't you fucking dare! I'm playing.
We'll bring you on.
I'm playing.
No, I mean it is like really funny that you wanted to do the Alan Moore Sienkiewicz book. Like I legit had no idea. So it's I think it's cool we're on that same wavelength.
Still do it definitely.
And
I mean, like, there's no point. I don't need to. You guys did it already.
No. Like, listen, we have our perspective, our take on it. We're not old school pros. You know, we don't have the same.
Right. I'm always going to have a different, probably more enlightened view of the material than you guys. Just because
we'll be a little more crude.
Such a genius of the.
But it's like
we're the Cro-Magnons.
But seriously, like it's cool. I'm so glad that you guys are doing this. And until I come back, you know, I'm glad you guys are going to keep doing it. And, you know, it's good. It's going to be nice to be, you know,
I'm grateful to
have another. What's that?
I'm grateful that we have your seal of approval, because like
you didn't need it though.
I mean, we didn't need it.
I was going to say.
Didn't need it.
I think especially we didn't want to be seen, and we say this in episode 0. You know, we say we don't want to be seen as competition. We know we.
No.
we do this out of respect, and obviously as we're evolving this into our own thing,
It'll be more of its own
we
thing.
want to pay our respects to like our origins, our roots, where we came from, and what sort of got us together in the first place.
Which is my show.
Of course. Yes.
I mean, it should go without saying, but like, you know, a crucial difference is like you are an established artist. Like that is
We're
what
just
you
two
do.
fucking guys.
It's a little insane that I am, though, right?
Yeah, but like that's cool. Like I think I don't see a lot of artists like wading in with their genuine vulnerable opinions on stuff. And like you're not just that, like you also give a shit about other types of art. Like that's one thing about your show that I love, like why I keep listening to it. And that's a way in which like I want to distinguish what we're doing. Like just speaking for myself here, like yeah, I had I wanted to work towards comics. I thought I was going to draw and possibly write at one point, but that was a long time ago, and I have no illusions about that's where I want to go. Like what I do now, like I am a circus artist, so I'm extremely interested in how
crazy and sick. I've seen the
Thanks,
flips.
man.
I'm like, holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Thanks, dude. But it's that simple idea of human movement and what that means to people. Like that's where I'm coming from, and that's what I will relate upon comics and movies. Like that's what makes me authentic in my voice.
That's tight. Yeah.
Thanks.
I was gonna say
I think that's a good spot to actually end things on, you know, with us shaking each other's hands like this.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming on, Ramon.
Yeah. Oh,
That
by the
actually
way,
gives
you can
us-
find me at Ramon Villalobos on
Well, that's
Twitter.
actually
You
what I was.
gotta
That's
ask him
literally
what
what I
he
was about to.
wants to plug.
That's
Instagram.
literally what I
Plug.
was about to do. I mean,
The Ramon Villalobos on Instagram, mexflentallo.patreon.com.
well, listen,
at
we'll put this all
at
in the show
Flentallo.
notes.
I got a very special episode with David Brothers coming, and then I'm doing a episode with Cliff Chang this week that I'm very
Oh,
excited
shit.
about.
I love Cliff's
that-
work.
I actually got Lonely City. Like,
I'm gonna be
a week ago.
talking about it, baby, because spoiler alert, that was my guy back in the day. So I took a shot. I said, let me see if he'll do it. He did it.
Have you recorded
So-
yet with him?
I'm not doing it Tuesday.
Oh, can I have you ask him about something?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna ask me now on the show, or you want to ask me
Yeah,
afterwards?
can we? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Why
yeah,
don't we
I could-
ask that afterwards, just so we don't
Yeah,
spoil it?
But yes, I have
Sure.
I have that, and so until basically, for listeners who don't know, until my partner Dio gets done doing what he's doing with comics and getting some of his life together, I'm going to be doing these interviews shows, and they're different. They're a little less politics focused, and but they're not entirely politics empty, I don't think, but they're it's sort of like my Mark Maron what the fucker energy. It's very fun, it's easier, and it's less stress on me.
I
for-
really liked. I loved your Dragata episode, man, because like I
Yeah,
could
that was really good.
the admiration you had for Dragata, the artist, but also the man was like really inspiring. Like you were really authentic. I mean, you always are, but
Thanks, dude.
the way that influenced your not just your work, but your mentality of how you approach this field it's just really compelling. And I want the artists of all the art I read to like be flesh and blood people, and you guys are really human there. It's excellent.
Yeah, that's the goal for these things these days. The goal is to just talk to people. Like, I don't want to do like ink pulp or whatever, and I definitely am not doing like I'm a fan of this person, although usually I am. But there's a Will Eisner book called Shop Talk that I read like forever ago, and in that book, it's him talking to all of the other contemporaries of that time, like in like the 70s. So like he's talking like Jack Kirby. He's talking to Joe Kubert, who like Joe Kubert worked in his studio, like sweeping the floor, like he was an intern there. Neil Adams, like all these different guys, and he's just relating to them and having like conversations about life as well as comics and art and everything. So I'm looking at that and like, what if I was Will Eisner? which is crazy, but that's the approach. It was I want to have my own shop talk, but I can't call it that. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Listen to that show, and thank you guys. You gonna do your own stuff, but
yeah, we'll figure something out. But yeah, thanks again for coming on, Ramon, and we hope to have you on for future episodes too.
Of course, yeah, anytime.
So we can get some real comics outlaw talk.
Dominatrix. Dominatrix sleeps tonight. The village starts to dance. The men beat on their drums. Dominatrix sleeps tonight. That night, a wild party. Women meet their men. Animals watch beyond the fire. The dominatrix sleeps tonight. Dominatrix.